Hello and welcome to You're Wrong About Musicals. I'm Esme,
And I'm Nell.
and today we're going to be talking about Les Mis.
Everyone's favorite Pride musical,
Oh
Les
yes,
Miserables.
Les Miserables.
Les
What?
Miserables.
Where does Les Miserables come from? Because it's been playing in my head all week and I have no idea where it comes from.
I have no idea.
But that is a thing, right?
I,
I'm not going insane.
I'm sure it is. I have my two pieces of Les Mis memorabilia. Um,
I don't have
my
my other
massive
program.
gilded edge copy of the book,
Hmm.
and my program from 2013, where I saw Carrie Hope Fletcher as Eponine and didn't find out until a year ago.
Yep, that was a fun text to get. We're going to be talking about Nell's favorite movie today.
My favorite movie, the 2014 Les Mis movie.
Yeah. Well, you could say
I'm right
it's
in saying
yeah,
2014.
2014 is right. Correct. You got the year right. But first we have some news to get through. It's been quite a quiet news week actually. We were just talking
I
about that.
Oh, it was a 2012 movie. I was wrong.
Oh.
My favorite 2012 movie.
Your favorite
Anyways.
2012 movie. Anyway, according to now, it is the greatest movie of all time.
Well, I never said that.
Okay.
Greatest Les Mis adaptation of all time, perhaps. I happen to think Russell Crowe wasn't that bad in it.
Cards
Okay,
on the
let's get
table.
it out of the way.
Russell,
I don't think he was that bad.
we've heard worse in musicals. Don't worry.
We have. First
Uh,
piece of news.
First piece of news from our favorite Italian girl.
Lambert Jackson sold out the Palladium twice for Star Kid.
I think
And now they
also,
seem
like,
to
in
think
all
the
fairness to
Palladium was
them,
easy to sell out.
I think their production of Sideshow was also quite successful.
Yeah, they've had a string of successful productions, but I think that's because of what they're producing and who they have in it. Like
Yeah, Bear
Bear
wasn't.
sold well,
It
not
wasn't a
because it was there.
no. So basically, Lambert Jackson have kind of deluded themselves into thinking that the Palladium is easy to sell.
Yeah.
So last night, what's on stage power thing being like teaser being like, come back here at 10 a.m. and I watched the teaser and I'm like, oh, this is like a personal terrorist attack against me.
Because it was
Um,
like, oh, September 1st, 1989, and then crossed out, and then being like 2024. And then it was just Mean Girls and Heather's stickers.
yeah,
And the most prominent theory I saw last night when I saw it
yeah.
was people being like, oh, it's going to be like a cabaret thing where the Mean Girls and Heather's cast sing each other's songs and they all go up together and they're like, haha, look, 80s Mean Girls and modern Mean Girls.
I genuinely thought it was something like that. I was like, I know they're both Barrett roles, but they share some creative teams. They share some cast, and with Mean Girls opening soon in London, they could get some of the people from America over. Like, it could be a whole celebration.
Barrett will lead is
Mm-hmm.
doing a concert at the Palladium.
Yep. Now, when I say this, I'm not being mean to Barrett.
Of course not.
No, I didn't just make fun of her. Um, however, why the fuck is she doing the Palladium?
Yeah. The
Like,
Palladium's massive.
like
Having been recently,
I didn't like when I went for Bout, I didn't
bigger than I
realize how
remembered.
big it was. And then when we went for Starkid, I was like, oh, holy shit, this thing is fucking massive.
It's huge.
Like Barry
And
fucking Manilow is playing the Palladium.
yeah. And I don't think, like, it's not a bad thing that Barrel we can't sell it out.
No.
The thing, like, the thing with something like Starkid is the last time Starkid did a show in the UK or a
Mm.
concert in the UK, it was
Hmm.
like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And there, is this the right way to phrase it? I would consider possibly their biggest boost in popularity happening in 2018 with the Guy Didn't Like
Yes.
Musicals and the subsequent Hatchetfield series,
Yeah.
which happened after their last show.
Also, the thing with Barry and the Palladium is we were talking about Marisha Wallace because we've got a point written down about her later on.
Yes.
Um, and I saw on TikTok today, just came up on my thing, her talking about her show at the Adelphi. Marisha Wallace is by far a bigger name. And again, this is no hate towards Barrett. Is by far a bigger name in the UK, like Guys and Dolls, Dream Girls, Waitress, and she was just on our Celebrity Big Brother, so she's got some
Yeah.
mainstream attention.
She's
Um,
well known over here in a way because she's not just well known in musical theatre,
yes,
whereas Beryl Weed is predominantly known for musical theatre.
in America. I mean,
in America.
Marisha Wallace, who probably could go into the Palladium and sell probably a bit better, she's going to the Adelphi.
Yeah. Like, I don't think Barrel Reed isn't going to sell any seats. Undoubtedly, she will.
She has sold seats today, and it's just been
Already, she's sold seats.
Yeah.
I don't know. It feels a little
I saw it and I went, do we need to
optimistic.
do we need to put her in the Palladium? Devil Wears Prada announced their full cast.
I really want to see it.
I actually really want to see this.
It looks, first of all, so good.
It just looks like a really fun time.
It's gonna be good. And I really want to see it. I might try and convince my mom to come with me.
Well, so she can pay for tickets.
Yes.
That makes sense.
I'm gonna go and see I think Spirited Away with my mum. I'm hoping to, at least.
I'm gonna try and get my mum at Old Parents at one of the
thing is,
Ghibli
me and
ones.
Esme go and see so many shows together.
Yeah.
There comes a point where we have to be like, we can't afford this. Our parents, however. Maybe we try and coordinate it for the same night. It's like, by the way,
again, I'd like to announce a disclaimer. I'm not being mean when I say this. Talk about this next point, but there might be an undercurrent of meanness. Benji Platt.
Love Benji Platt.
He is in the middle of his.
I thought he was really good.
Residency.
He actually is constantly looking at me because I have a theatre camp poster like behind my laptop.
Ben Platt watches over you while you're sleeping.
He's literally, it's him looking at me, and he's in the middle of 3 different Phantom things and the Newsies banner.
That's what he deserves. He's in the middle of his residency at the Palace at the moment. I think he'll be closed by the time this comes out. And he's had some very fun special guests. At the moment, my favorites have been Rachel Zegler making her Broadway debut. Like, that was technically her Broadway debut, which is kind of crazy. Laura Dreyfus singing one of the songs. Oh, Only Us, because that's the only one that they actually sing together.
Yeah.
Again, Ben, do you want to get Molly Gordon on that stage, or is she too busy being in the band? I want to know whether she's tried to call Mike, whether or not he's tried to call Mike Feist, but Mike Feist is like, I'm a movie star now, fuck off.
I don't think him and Mike Feist are friends.
I know, nor do I.
Actually, with, like,
Laura Dreyfus. And Alex New was also that, and they sung Suddenly Seymour together, and that was amazing.
He's doing really well, to be fair.
Really well.
It's like annoyingly well.
It's annoyingly interesting as well. Like, I liked waking up and seeing Rachel Zegler singing Waitress. Also, she sounds amazing. Anyway, Taylor Swift has seen Cabaret before us, which I guess when you're a billionaire, you can afford Cabaret.
She was going to like support Cara Delevingne, I think.
Yeah,
because it was like her final night, or
it was her final
night.
Weekend.
Crazy, she was in London though.
I was in London.
Imagine if she was at the announcement. She's in the upstairs bit. You just never saw her.
That's good. That's my ideal situation for being in the same room as Taylor Swift, not knowing. Like, I don't want to know.
That's very later this month.
No, you know what I mean. Like in a not in a fucking stadium. You know what I mean. Like
in close quarters.
In a close quarters room where it's like not insane for her to be there. Like, it's not like, oh, Taylor Swift's definitely gonna be there. I don't want to know. Yeah, I want to know her thoughts on it. Taylor, post a review. Add to the Cabaret discourse, please.
It is crazy that she didn't just go to the one on Broadway. Like, that is the bit I don't get.
It was definitely Cara Delevingne that made her go.
It was definitely just for Cara Delevingne.
And also the thing that...
Can you blame a girl?
We wanted to go see Cara Delevingne, but we're not billionaires and so can't afford Cabaret. That I also thought with Cabaret is it is set up, and especially in the UK where they enforce the rule a lot more and they're a lot better at keeping it, it is the best show for Taylor Swift to be at because of the phones thing. Stereophonic extends, another thing that I'm desperate to see. Please transfer. I love 70s bands, fictional ones especially. Yeah, just transfer, please.
Now, so many things we want to transfer.
Transfer?
Yes, transfer. Yeah. Over here.
Come London, Stereophonic. I will personally go see it at least once.
Maybe twice.
Maybe I'll get everyone in my life.
I'll see it once.
It's the most Tony nominated play in history and it's got music.
Yeah, but I'm cool and old, so I don't like mainstream things.
Okay, we're talking about Les Mis today.
And I like the movie.
Yeah, it's true. No, this is massive for you.
Hadley Fraser and Ramin Karimloo are doing Dirty Rotten Scoundrels in concert
Yep.
in November.
Yeah.
Something crazy like that. And I unironically saw the news, took a screenshot of it to send to my sister because my sister loves Hadley Fraser and Ramin.
Yeah.
I woke up at like 2 p.m. to my sister being like, "Is this real? Is this happening?" I was like, "Of course it's real. We're not going, but it's happening."
We're not going because do you know anything
'Cause I
about
can't
Dirty
afford
Rotten
it.
Scoundrels?
No, I absolutely do not.
Because I think that they just wanted to do a show together. We're like, fuck it, let's do this one.
They are just like besties, and it's really fun.
Hadestown UK have got some new swings. How exciting. We love
I think
Hadestown.
it is leading up to they're gonna announce not a whole new cast, but there are definitely gonna be some cast changes
Well, yeah, there's a cast change very imminent that we've known about since the beginning.
since before it's like started.
Being obviously Grace Hodgett Young going to go
Who's
do Sunset.
yeah. Should be going to Broadway.
Yeah, almost.
My thought has always been that they're gonna move up the understudies to overstudies and move up the swings.
Yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, I saw the second cover Unity, and if she becomes first cover Unity, that'd be amazing because she was very talented.
But my thought is that's what they're gonna do.
But they
Yeah. Also might just bring in a new Eurydice, which would also be cool.
Either way, we'll be interested in what's going on over at Hadestown. Don't worry, guys.
We're going back anyway.
We're going back. So... I texted Nell about it this week.
I just get texts from Esme. She's like, when we go and see Hadestown again, we should do this.
Again. Because
we haven't got no tickets for it.
No tickets.
But we're going back.
At some point this summer, we will be at the Lyric Theatre seeing Hadestown.
Oh yeah.
My birthday? That I know.
They also Hadestown Broadway also released their Pride playbill. They put out a tweet and they were like, "Pride just come again," which was cute.
I do like that pun. That's a very good pun.
That's cute. The playbill. Just to make clear, I have never said anything.
Yeah, we were at the
about the Hadestown Pride was happening. I've never said anything bad about it.
We did have to instigate the one block rule at Aeneas Mitchell.
And we didn't even do it because we never said anything bad about it. To be clear, my thoughts on the Hadestown Pride people, I think it's funny when they did like their 1,000th performance one with the shattered stuff.
5 year.
It's the same kind of feeling I had towards that, where it's not bad by any means.
Yeah.
In fact, it is probably on like the higher end of the scale of good Pride playbills. Because I think the problem is that many people have also pointed out playbills no longer do anything, and they never really have to do anything fun for their Pride versions. They just change the playbill top bit to be rainbow.
Yeah, and
yellow.
In 2019 for the anniversary of Stonewall, they made it like a wall and Pride. I thought that looked pretty cool.
Yeah.
But other than that, they don't really do shit.
The last one I remember being fun was Beetlejuice, which
I had the Beetlejuice Pride. Yeah.
I have the Beetlejuice one too because Esme got it for me.
Yes.
You would that because they just
didn't bring
changed
you
the
back a
stripes.
Beetlejuice playbill.
I would have. But yeah, they just had the stripes be rainbow, and that was fun. This one they just changed the flower petals to be rainbow, and it's not bad. It's just funny.
Yeah. I mean, at least
it's like this is like dark, like background, and you know the plot of Hadestown, and it's like sad sound because we're talking about the queerest musical of all. They missed today, obviously.
Oh, happy anniversary! Okay, happy anniversary of the rebellion that takes place in Les Mis. That's why we're doing it. And also, Nell doesn't want to do it on actual Bastille Day because she hates the French.
Yeah. Hilariously, as you said that, I got a Duolingo reminder being like, you need to practice your French.
The Broadway beat. Do you want to talk about the Broadway beat?
Oh, they created a great Pride icon for Pride Month, and they just tweeted it out, and they just said like, it's called putting in the work.
Yeah.
But it just says like the broad gay beat with like one rainbow.
It's great. On like some like notebook paper, and so it looks like they've just stuck it up.
It's perfect. That's what Hadestown should have done. Hadestown? Perfect. That's appealing.
Mean Girls are starting performances.
When this comes out, we will
weekend.
know what the new I Want song is. Because there's going to be a new I Want song. Yeah. Mean Girls is starting today. that we are recording this.
Yeah.
Like last week when
Yeah.
you're listening.
We've got no
so I think
plans to go see it.
we should go see it.
I
Being
got the
real.
notification that they are definitely doing rush tickets, which will probably be how we see it.
If we go back for more than a day at a time, we will go see it because we'll just rush it. What if we do theatre roulette for your birthday and we get Mean Girls?
Oh, I really want to see Hades.
That would be great.
I
That would be
really
great.
want to see Hades Town.
Do we want to do theatre roulette for Tuck Day instead?
Yeah, I thought that was the plan.
All right, if we do theatre roulette for Tuck Day and we get Mean Girls,
That'll be funny.
that would be hilarious.
That'll be funny. Or else we could just go see Hades Town and have a nice time at Hades Town on my birthday.
Yeah.
Golden Age musicals. Marisha Wallace returned to Guys and Dolls for one night only.
But it's kind of bad to say.
I know what you're gonna say. You told me this earlier.
Yeah, I didn't know that Guys and Dolls was still running. I fully thought it had closed and we'd missed our chance to see it.
We're going to go see it.
And I just saw the news. I was like breaking news. Marisha Wallace is back for one night only. And I was like, they're putting Guys and Dolls on again for one night only.
2 hours before it's meant to happen.
Yeah, that. Why would they do that? It's just still running, and I completely I think when Marisha Wallace left,
yeah, they
just assumed it was closed.
And also, they also made a big deal out of closing, and we were like, "Wow, it's closing
no
so
apparent
early."
reason. I was just like, "Well, obviously it's closing."
And so you were like, "Oh, it's closed."
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, it's closed. We can't go and see Guys." It's still there.
It's still there. We could go see Guys and Dolls. I couldn't.
We should go see.
We should go see Guys and Dolls.
Guys and Dolls.
Because so, hey, that's Hades Town. I listened to Hades Town for the first time in forever today. Les Mis is a musical with a book by Alan Boublil. Book and music by Claude Michel Somberg, and lyrics by Herbert Hertzheimer. So Kratzmer, for having written one of the most famous musicals of arguably all time, you could argue that it's one of the most famous musicals of all time.
You definitely can.
You definitely can. People don't know that these guys exist.
It's crazy.
It's so
I saw someone being like, "Oh yeah, when Sondheim wrote Les Mis."
I started a conversation with someone like, "Oh yeah," they're like, "Cameron Mackintosh wrote Les Mis," and I was like, "No."
Like, I feel like whoever came up with Les Mis.
God, I need to see their take on Les Mis so badly.
When Gershwin
when Rodgers and Hammerstein wrote Les Mis. When they wrote Les Mis. No. So some brief history on Les Mis.
When Schwartz wrote Les Mis.
When Schwartz wrote Les Mis, and it was insane.
I've seen it. Every vaguely famous musical theatre composer
be credited with Les Mis.
To Les Mis. My thought is because it is now in the Sondheim Theatre, isn't it?
Yeah.
Maybe that's where I'm seeing people get Sondheim from.
Yeah.
I understand why.
Also,
he did not write it.
These French guys have no public presence. Yeah. Claude Michel Somberg has more of a presence, and even their Wikipedia pages are tiny. It's hilarious.
It's mad.
It's people think Cameron Mackintosh seriously sat down and wrote Les Mis. It's hilarious.
It'd be great.
I've never seen Cameron write a bar of music. I don't think he can.
But he does know how to use a turntable.
To use a motherfucking turntable, and he knows how to produce the shit out of a mega musical.
He does know how to produce a mega musical.
Les Mis is originally a book, believe it or not. You might not have known this. It's a little known book.
No one can see this, but I'll pull something out.
Nell obviously has a copy of Les Mis to hand.
It's fucking massive.
It is huge.
I have a twin copy of it's a twin copy with my Phantom book.
Yep.
However, my Phantom book, they're roughly the same size. I think the Phantom one is slightly smaller. No shock there. The Phantom one has 10 other stories in it alongside the Phantom of the Opera. Les Mis has one story in it, and it's also in size 5 font.
Yeah, it's a big old book.
It's tiny. It's 900 pages.
It's so small and petite.
So you know, whenever I'm out and about, this is the book I bring, just some light reading.
Some light reading. You can really throw it in your bag. It
Yeah.
was originally published in
Anyone who's
18.
trying to get into some kind of classic literature,
Mm.
Les Mis is an easy start.
Yeah,
Um,
large parts of it aren't dedicated to talking about sewage.
there's not a section where every single chapter starts with a line about the sewer system.
And when I asked someone who's read Les Mis what they thought about it, they were like, it talks a lot about the French sewers.
So I'm not talking about the French sewers. Right before we started recording, I read Esme Eponine's death scene.
It was very
It
sad.
goes on.
It goes on, man.
It goes on.
I will just be sticking with the song about Eponine stuff from here on out. But yeah, it was published in 1862, with it having instant popularity, quickly being translated into several languages. It is one of the longest novels in history, being 1,900 pages with the in the original French translation, and then 1,400 in English. It is 365 chapters long, with 11 major and 40 plus minor characters. Within 2 months of publication, Les Mis would sell 10,000 copies, and the book deal would be worth 3 million. So,
To reiterate, my copy is 900 pages.
yes.
Through font size alone,
Mm-hmm.
they cut out 500 pages.
Yep.
Mine's tiny. The font, I can barely read it.
It's like War and Peace. It's just absurdly long.
Like, strangely long.
A lot of characters do get axed for the musical. Like, a lot.
Which really sucks. Some of the best characters in the book.
They want.
Could not tell you a single name, but some of the best characters in the book get axed with me.
No more. To
be clear, I read this when I was like 14.
Yeah.
And I was trying to be quirky and cool. I'm like, I'm not like other girls. I've read the Les Mis
I've like
book.
read Victor Hugo's Les Mis.
I just start like we talk about the music and I'm like, well, in the book. It took me like a full month to read. Just reading it every day.
Or you start talking about the movie. Like it's either one or the other.
The book, if I'm trying to be like actually cool, the movie when I'm trying to start shit. But I do genuinely like the movie though.
Yeah,
I keep bringing it up to them, and they're like, "Well, clearly you're joking. Like you're a funny girl."
No, she genuinely likes
the movie's
the movie.
Good. I genuinely like the movie.
It's not now being like contrarian or like something like that. She genuinely loves this movie.
Really like the movie.
So let's hear about how it became such a good movie. I'm joking. Let's do some background on the musical.
As everyone agrees.
Everyone agrees. I definitely agree with that take. So this is from Alan Bobel. I don't know French, so I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Is it Blil at the end
Bill?
or Bill?
I'm gonna say Bobel.
That's so crazy. Hold on, I'm looking it up.
Okay. So he started writing pop songs from a very early age in France. So did Claude Michel. They both came from the pop writing song world in France in the 70s. It wasn't until he discovered his attraction to musical theatre and it was like a disease. Musical theatre, very American art form. It has no counterpart in France. Musicals on film were popular, but never on the stage. No one had ever brought them to France or tried to, because there was no structure. There was no tradition to that. You have such a strong tradition in America, which starts
nowhere else.
Nowhere else. Well, I get what he's saying. Like, every kid does musicals, he goes on to say, at school or at a summer camp. It is integrated into their bones and their DNA. I get what he's saying.
Yeah.
He doesn't exactly remember when, but West Side Story toured France in the late 1960s or early 80s. He saw it in his very late teens. The tour wasn't a success, he says. He saw the show and thought, this is what I've been wanting to do all my life. Watching the first musical of my life, watching the geniuses of Leonard Bernstein, Jerome Robbins, and Stephen Sondheim accomplish something, an upgrade to Romeo and Juliet, I thought, this is it. How do I do that? And it felt like something impossible to do. Years later, in New York, Bobel would see Jesus Christ Superstar, the rock opera that launched the careers of Andrew Lloyd Webber and Tim Rice. Lloyd Webber and Rice had started out in songwriting too. Boy, do we know. So they were like, I'm going to create So Bobo was like, I'm creating a rock opera and I'm going to do the Andy route of just making a concept album. I'm hoping for the best. Then staging it as a musical might help. French audiences acclimatized to the art form. He even had an idea for the subject. The French Revolution. What could be more French than the Revolution? Different art form, tell them a story they know. The album, Revolution, La Revolution France. That's
La
right, Darwin.
Révolution Française.
Yep. An enduring and the ensuing theatrical concert was held in Paris des Sports. I think
And
that's
the Palais des Sports.
Yep.
Dude, the Duolingo is paying off.
Yep, it really
Not the
is.
10 years of French I took beforehand.
Oh no, it's just
But the
purely
19-day streak on Duolingo.
Yeah.
Paying off.
It was an enormous success. People were curious to understand what they have done, why they sing about the French Revolution. Why is Robespierre singing Robespierre singing on that stage? Why is the Queen of France singing before she's going to be decapitated? God, I want to watch this musical. Which, when you think about it, it just doesn't make sense. Fairs. So it closed. They all went back to their day jobs. The disco era was dawning, and Bobil and Schomburg wanted to keep writing musicals. A few years later, Bobil was watching Oliver in London. The young character known as the Artful Dodger made him think of Gavroche in Victor Hugo's novel Les Mis. Little by little, I really wanted to see two shows on that stage. One was Oliver playing in front of me. The other was like in a stage in my head. I was seeing Valjean, Javert, Cosette. I was lucky that the day after to find a copy of the novel in a library in the old Compton Street. I made a few notes. There was a chapter called I'm Not Gonna Say That. There's a chapter that basically
J'avais rêve d'une autre vie. I had a dream of a different life.
So that became I Dreamed a Dream.
Of another other
Yeah, and in English the song becomes I Dreamed a Dream. So then they just quit their jobs and started working on it full time and again it was staged in the same place as the one about the revolution was. And it closed as scheduled. Nobody expressed any inclination of wanting to do anything more. So this version of Les Mis looked very different from the one that we know and love today. The original concept lacked tension which began at the factory gates and ended at the barricades. Act 2 was concerned with the love story between Cosette and Marius. The material didn't tell a story, it was a series of scenes, and it was -5 of the famous songs. It would have to be considerably reconstructed. So that would have been it for Les Mis if it weren't for Cameron Mackintosh being sent a copy of the concept album. Yes, Cameron, you little shit.
We've never said anything bad about Cameron Mackintosh.
I hate him, but unfortunately have to respect him.
He knows how to use a turntable.
He knows how to produce a banger of a mega musical.
And spin it round and round on that stage.
Round and round. As a fan of the Revolve, I have to be a fan of Cameron Mackintosh.
Exactly.
Also, I do appreciate the like grandeur and insane like pomp and circumstance he sometimes gives to musicals.
It's like if I got the opportunity to just make a musical, I'd get Cameron Mackintosh to do it. I'd be like, here's my shitty story. Put it on the stage. I also like, well, of course we're gonna need a helicopter over the audience.
And then a turntable. I'm just doing all my greatest hits.
Then the Revolve.
Yeah, you've already got
pyrotechnics are a given.
Oh yeah, 100%. People in fursuits.
Obviously,
you got it all. He also is quite involved for a producer. Like, there's a reason why it's all billed as like his name. Is because he is, especially with Les Mis, he was very involved in the creation of the show.
Yeah.
So he is a little shit. However.
Yeah.
Produce some banger musicals. Yeah, so Cameron just kind of heard it. So, but he was also like, this has got to be translated because it's all in French at this point. He's like, oh.
Wow. Did it have to be?
For the British audience, yes. In the 80s, they weren't going to sit for a French musical, unfortunately.
Crazy how many mega musicals were just French stories.
Yeah. Phantom.
Les Mis.
Les Mis.
And obviously there's no other mega musicals.
They're the two biggest ones.
What other mega musicals even are there?
Starlight Express, that comes from Andy's brain and no one else's.
That comes from Thomas the Tank Engine. 20 mega musicals you should know. Okay.
There's 20?
Aladdin. Nothing Disney counts.
Okay, if we're talking mega musicals, we're talking like the 80s and maybe early 90s.
They put Dear Evan Hansen as a mega
Dear Evan
musical.
Hansen is
This
not a
isn't
fucking
real.
mega
That's
musical.
not real.
That's not real.
Notable mega musicals include Cats, Les
Yeah.
Mis,
Yeah.
Phantom,
Yeah.
Lion King, Wicked, Hamilton. Wicked, she flies, so that's allowed to count.
Like your criteria for a mega musical is one massive set piece and like 3 hours long and sung through.
Apparently not. A large-scale musical produced for large commercial profit. Everything Andrew Lloyd
Every
Webber has ever done.
Yeah, I was gonna argue that, but no, unfortunately.
A big Broadway musical is not necessarily a mega musical.
Should I just look up what Cameron Mackintosh has done?
The mega musical phenomenon began with the 1981 musical Cats.
We know
There's
that
been
one.
debate over whether or not Hamilton is a mega musical, but those who say it is cite its commercial success, its divine elements, though it features a simple set, it has grand lighting and stage automation, and the fact that it is completely sung through.
Yeah. I was gonna say maybe Miss Saigon's French because it's based on a Puccini opera, but Puccini's Italian.
Puccini is not French.
I just googled he's Italian.
Beauty and the Beast, set in France.
But in France. But you know, when we were talking about like British musicals that work in America, I was like, I'm not counting Les Mis as a British musical because it's written by two French dudes and set in France.
Yeah.
Yes, there is a weird trend of them having all doing East End accents.
You know, I said it is crazy how many. It is like two.
Yeah, but that's like a lot. For like two of the world's biggest musicals to be from France set like
Yeah.
is something. I don't know, maybe it
I
plays into
really
the...
hate to say it.
Anyway,
Anyways,
back to Les Miserables.
flavors.
So when Cameron Mackintosh was like, "Hi, I'm Cameron Mackintosh. Please let me. I'm going to produce your musical, and I'm going to translate it into English, and I've got this killer creative team ready to go." Bill was like, "I don't know who he was."
Fair.
And Cameron was like, "I produced Cats," and they were like, "I don't know what that is." Saying, "I didn't know Cats. Neither did Claude Michel." We met Cameron. He introduced us to the English team. So it happened to be some of the most brilliant representatives of British musical theatre, each in his category, and that's how we came from knowing we had to do everything ourselves, being plunged into the English theatre musical theatre royalty. So yeah, they Cameron would assemble the team to come and work on it, with one of the most important parts of the creative team being Herbert Kurtzheimer. He was a journalist at the Daily Mail who also
Wow.
write 80s would write musicals from time to time. Wild.
It's crazy how many jobs you could get in the 80s.
Like, sure, work in the journalist in the Daily Mail and then one day get a call from Cameron and be like, "Hey, do you want to come write this
Produce
musical?
Les Mis.
Do you want to come like write the lyrics of Les Mis?" Yeah, at this point, Trevor Nunn and John, yeah, they'd get Trevor Nunn in to kind of direct it. John Napier, Trevor Nunn and John Napier would come in and direct it. They would also like work on the show quite a lot. They were basically like, the way I explained it to my friend the other day was, it's like how Rachel Chavkin also did a lot of like story work on Hadestown. I think like
Yeah.
Trevor Nunn and John Napier did like a lot of work on it in that respect. Some of the songs that Herbert Kurtzheimer would come up with was Empty Chairs and Empty Tables, with him saying the word translation makes me shiver. Words can only resonate with one culture but not another. So I read the novel and then got told the story and was on my way. Castle on the Cloud had one line. There is a prince on a road in the French version. It seemed to me that the young version would be dreaming of a mother figure rather than a lover. Cameron had commissioned Claude Michel to extend the musical by a third, so there was a lot of episodes to fill. There was only one song that I wrote first, and then Schomburg then set to music, Stars, in which Javert swears revenge on Jean Valjean. They went into rehearsal and did, like, at this time, it's set to go to the Barbican because Trevor Nunn was, oh God, what was he? He was, like, commissioner of the Barbican. He was, like, in charge of it. Yeah, 80s having a load of random size jobs is definitely in play in Les Mis. Several songs had been suggested by the cast to help develop their characters. Stars was written because Javert needed to express why he was so driven. Okay, so this is one of my favorite fun facts that I learned. On My Own was originally not Eponine's song. Who do you think it was?
Jean Valjean's?
No.
Javert?
No.
Marius?
Uh-uh.
Who?
Fontaine.
Oh my God.
So it basically, like, she would just sing 2 ballads and then die, become a prostitute and then die. And so it didn't make sense for her to sing 2 ballads and then die. And Eponine kind of
They made
needed
her sing one.
they made her sing one. And Eponine kind of needed a song, so they rewrote it a bit and then gave it to her. So yeah, and also Do You Hear the People Sing was the lyrics of that were quite extensively changed. Which is like Do You Hear the People Sing has kind of become a protest song, like a serious protest song in like years. An article I was reading was talking about how it was used in Beijing or Shanghai. Somewhere in China, they were using Do You Hear the People Sing as a protest song against the against the government. So they would start casting people for the run at the Barbican, funded by the RSC, which Trevor Nunn was the original director of and had close ties to. Again, 80s size jobs. You could just run the RSC and then produce and then direct Les Mis in your spare time, I guess. So the cast, in the words of Patti LuPone, would have no idea what was going on. Patti, of course, was cast as Fontaine. Because it was the Royal Shakespeare Company, so it was a lot of like quite serious actors who were now doing this big mega musical. So yeah, they would have press night at the Barbican on the 8th of October 1985, where the first reviews would come out reading stands for some revelation in the original as a singing telegram to an epic. The Daily Telegraph would say, spawning more than 3 hours over the vast Barbican stage, the pop version of Victor Hugo's 1962 novel Les Mis makes an enthralling spectacle and is full of good tunes. It tells a rambling yarn, sanctimonious as it is melodramatic. Although it bogs down in static student-led riot against the ill treatment of the poor, Com Wilkinson sings well enough as the long-suffering Valjean, as does Roger Alm for his policeman enemy, who is in the end confused by the ex-criminal of oblivious to the goodness he drowns himself. Patti LuPone's holy prostitute has a lovely voice. But the monster of the show drags towards the end with Valjean's death after his ward's wedding to her wounded student lover. It left me doubtful about the whole prodigious exercise, but the masterful direction of nurses, Nunn and Candid, often contivate to say things clearly enough to hide the banality of what's being said. So not great. The critics would not love Les Mis when it first premiered at the Barbican. Cameron would say it was like a dagger to my heart when the reviews panned it. I rushed to buy the early morning editions. The first review I saw was by Jack Tinker in the Mails, calling it The Glums. I had my usual post-production lunch with the team, and it felt like we were at a funeral. But because you have Cameron McIntosh attached to it, he had some plans. He was like, we're going to transfer this to the Palace Theatre. And they only had a few days to work that out. But after that lunch, Cameron famously, in his words, called the box office, was like, how are we selling after this? Like, is it good? Because again, 80s, you had to like physically line up and go buy tickets. I do wonder, how did people buy like tickets quite far in advance in the 80s?
I mean, surely you just go and be like, I want tickets for this day at this time.
So he would announce the West End transfer with word of mouth really catching on for this and some like clever publicity. Again, the man can produce the shit out of a mega musical. So yeah, synopsis time.
Set against the backdrop of 19th century France, Les Miserables tells the enthralling story of broken dreams and unrequited love, passion, sacrifice, and redemption, a timeless testament to the survival of the human spirit. This epic and uplifting story has become one of the most celebrated musicals in theatrical history. I think so.
Yeah, I think the thing with Les Mis is because it's so epic, it's really hard to like write one synopsis for it that's not really long.
It's also so fucking long.
Yeah. Okay, so there's this guy, Jean Valjean, he's a criminal, but not really. And there's this guy, Javert, and they just
There's
spend
this
like.
guy, and he gets arrested and put in prison, and then he gets released.
And this
But
all
it's like
happens.
kind of weird.
And it all
And
happens
then
in the
he
first.
grows up.
Yeah,
Oh,
this
then he meets this woman who has a kid, but the woman dies. So the guy takes a kid, but then doesn't take the kid, and then the kid grows up. But then he meets the kid again,
yeah.
and he like takes up, and that's the first 5 minutes.
Yeah, no, like the prologue of Les Mis covers like 15 years.
It's
Remember this to me.
crazy.
Yeah, so it covers like 15 years. I'm gonna be so real. I don't like when I'm listening to Les Mis, I start with at the end of the day.
Dude, you're missing out.
I'm like, I know that Jean Valjean is like not like was in prison. I know all this. I just love at the end of the day. It might be one of my favorite songs in the whole entire show.
It is a great song.
Banger of a tune. Can I explain my long-standing beef with Les Mis and how I changed my mind on it? I feel like
Yeah, go ahead.
this is the good place to start. So I didn't like Les Mis for many, many years. Like it was a core part of my personality. I was a Les Mis hater, alongside being the biggest One Day More hater that ever was. I very
Esme
famous
hated One Day More
hated it. Hated it.
to the point last year. For
Literally
reference,
last year.
she's been a fan for under a year
Under a year.
because last year we were at West End Live.
Yeah.
It was great, and the
It
lamest
was the
cast were coming
greatest
out.
moment of your life, I feel.
It was so funny. But the lamest cast came out. They'd sung a few songs, and we knew the whole cast was there
I
because we'd
think,
seen them walk in.
yeah, they'd done like I Dreamed a Dream and like Bring Him Home.
They'd done some crazy ones. They did like Stars or something.
Yes, I think it was actually
It
Stars.
was a crazy lineup. And then they're about to go on for like their final song because they do basically 3 songs per show
Mm.
or one. It's like a one or three. And
Yeah,
we're waiting for them to come out. And Esme just goes, yeah, like Esme, clap. And she goes, if they sing One Day More, I'm gonna leave.
yeah.
And as she finishes this sentence, you the start of
A
One Day
very
More,
distinctive
like the
start
very
of One Day
clear
More.
start of One Day More. And both me and this random guy in front of us like burst laughing.
Turns to me and goes, haha, starts laughing.
So funny.
So funny. But one of my close
But yeah,
friends,
a
yeah,
year later,
a year later, here we are. Unfortunately, I say that this is my phantom, like, the way that
the
Mel
difference is
feels.
I didn't actively hate Phantom. I just never cared for it.
Yeah,
I was like, I'm cooler than to like an Andrew Lloyd Webber musical.
I mean,
I hate the guy.
you could still argue that you still are.
True. Um, but I was like, yeah, I just didn't care for it. Esme actively hated Les Mis.
Yeah, I did. Yeah.
She didn't even care that I liked the film
No.
because she just hated Les
I was
Mis.
just like, yeah, you can like the film, whatever, I don't care. I've seen the film.
It,
That's what made me
it
hate
was
it.
hilarious.
Anyway, and then one of my close friends was like, no, you've got to go see it. You've not seen it on stage. It's one of my favorite musicals. We'll go for your birthday. So the day after I see Love Never Dies.
We got drunk on your birthday
Yep.
in Central.
Yep.
We saw Love Never Dies the next day.
Yep.
And then Esme went and saw Les Mis.
And then I saw Next to Normal.
And then Next to Normal.
Yeah.
It was a crazy run of shows.
It was like honestly insane. But the thing I remember thinking at Love Never Dies that made me think maybe I will like Les Mis. It's like I was like objectively this show is not good. However, I do forget how much I like an like I wouldn't say 80s because there's like
Love Never Dies was like
Love Never
2010
Dies
or
was
something.
2010 and Phantom's very 80s, but like I like a grand musical.
The style, excluding Bad Cinderella, the style that Andrew Lloyd Webber writes in is very stuck in the 80s. And that's not a
Yes.
bad thing because it sounds good.
Yeah.
And Les Mis is just kind of the same or a very similar style.
Yeah. Yeah. So I was like, I sat there and I was thinking, God, I hope like I think I'm gonna like Les Mis because, you know, I want to really like Love Never Dies and get into it because there is something appealing about it to me,
It's so good.
but yet I can't, you know?
Yeah.
Do you get what I
It's
mean?
because you don't have that connection to Phantom.
It's also because it's Love Never Dies at the end of the day.
True.
Like,
But the thing is, my like admiration and enjoyment of Phantom
yeah.
makes me so into Love Never Dies. because it's so ridiculous as a continuation and as a standalone piece.
Yeah. I was like, if
I think
this,
we said this. I said this to you like in the interval. I was like, everything that is bad about Love Never Dies
yeah.
is that it's trying to be written as a continuation of Phantom, which
Mm.
makes it bad. However, musically, the best moments of Love Never Dies are all of the callbacks to Phantom
Like Oh,
and Madame Jury's.
the good moments of Love Never Dies made me like want to see a musical that was like all good moments, if that makes
Yeah,
sense. Because the song Love Never Dies is a banger of a tune, and hearing it
incredible
live
song.
with a full orchestra performed by Celinda Schoenmaker was amazing.
It was incredible. And then you get that in contrast to like
The
what
pop
is the
rock
song that I'm
song.
thinking? The pop rock song, the emo rock
The
song,
emo rock
for a
song,
better phrase,
sorry.
which is The Beauty Underneath.
Yeah, I remember saying to my friend, like, I'm really excited to see Les Mis now because, like, I want to see like an actual, like, good, well plotted musical. That's
It
like
just couldn't be worse than that. Is the
full,
thing.
yeah. And I was like, I like. Here's also the other thing with Les Mis that I was thinking about. That's why I was looking up why Cosette is on all the marketing material. It's like I
Mm.
know the marketing material for Les Mis. Growing up in London, it's just always been there.
It's always there.
It's like always
There used
about.
to be a like poster for it in Westfield.
There used to be posters for it on, do you know that old buses? They used to have like
Yeah,
poster spots on the back of them. I have a very vivid memory of seeing that as a child. And I think this might be one of the
yeah.
reasons why I used to hate Les Mis. I've always felt really duped by Les Mis because I thought like it was all about a young child.
No, she's there for like 2 seconds.
Because
She gets a song and a half and then leaves.
all of the posters are a small child. And so I was like, it's about a little girl who's poor. Not the plot of Les Mis, girl. Um, So I go and I see Les Mis and I'm sat there and I'm watching it and I'm like 5 minutes in and I've got tears in my eyes. I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, these bitches can write a banger of a
Please
fucking
do.
tune. And then I don't stop crying.
It's
It's like I
yeah.
turn to my friend at
Is
the
it,
interval and I go, this is what musical theatre is. Like, this is what it is. Like,
well, you've seen Hadestown,
yeah, but
right?
like I hadn't seen Hades Town. Like I hadn't
Yeah.
had my Hades Town awakening.
For me, I think as well for me,
Yeah,
I saw Les Mis in like 2013,
yeah,
and then I have not seen it since. The
yeah.
movie, I've seen it a lot, and I love the movie. But like to be fair, I saw the old version of Les Mis.
Yeah, no, I wish I would have seen the old version.
I saw the old version of Les Mis.
Although my friend who saw the original like version, she said that it was better without the revolve. Although I think she is lying to me to make me feel better.
I think she's lying to you because number one, it's a revolve.
It's a revolve. Maybe
How's it going to
that's
be worse
that's why I love Hades. One of the reasons why I love Hades Town so much. Sick
for the
revolve.
revolve?
For the revolve.
I just got to get a revolve in Phantom. I
Come
think
on.
it needs it.
It needs it.
Can you imagine Notes but with a revolve?
Oh, prima donna with a
Just
revolve.
picture it.
Okay,
Prima donna.
so
She
they
can be in
have
the middle. I'm
Carlotta
thinking
go
of it.
up like the Hades Town
We are
revolve.
just imagining the Hades Town revolve, but like in Phantom. Charlotte's in the middle with maybe Piangi with her.
Yeah.
The rest of them are all just spinning around. Or maybe the managers can be in the middle too.
Mm.
And then the other three, Meg, Madame Jury, and Rao, are
Yeah.
all like, the Christie's organization, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, shut up, I'm trying to listen to Carlotta. I
Yeah.
saw it because my dance teacher was in it.
Yeah.
And apparently, they were Courtney Stapleton and
Love,
Harry Fletcher,
love
which
them.
I didn't know. But I saw the old version, I haven't seen the new version. And I really do want to go see it. I'm probably going to end up seeing it there tonight
Yeah.
at some point.
Yeah, we're doing it. I think I cut it from last week's, but
It's a good, like,
we're seriously considering doing a 2-show day of Les Mis and then going to see Phantom.
we're doing the Les Mis Phantom Run.
Yeah.
And then the day after, we're seeing the
What
next
are
to
we
normal matinee. No, here's the problem. We've got to pick one or the other
Yeah.
because there's no day where there will be two matinee days back to back. If there was,
We'd be there.
it would be what are we decided Les
No,
Mis
we
first
could
and then
do
Phantom.
yeah, and then we worked out we could do Starlight Express on a Sunday and then go see Next to Normal.
Well, like yeah. So it's the Saturday matinee is Les Mis.
Yeah.
Saturday evening is Phantom. Sunday matinee is Starlight because they do Sunday matinees.
And it'd be insane to see.
Sunday, yeah. Sunday evening was next to normal.
Yeah.
We wanted to see Hadestown at some point in
It's
there.
not running. We could see Hades Town on the Friday.
Hadestown Friday evening. It's an insane run.
Oh,
And we want to do it.
we want to do it. So yeah, we will be back at Les Mis.
back for the first time in what, 11 years?
11 years. Yeah. I was there a couple months ago.
I do think, like, objectively, obviously, Les Mis is a really good show.
It's such a well-constructed
I
musical.
feel bad. We've just spent like half of our thoughts talking about Phantom and Love Never Dies.
I've got more thoughts about Les Mis, don't you worry.
I know you do. I
Can
know
I
you do.
can I start on my Eponine bullshit?
I will say I was trying to find it earlier. I cannot.
Mm,
I need to double check, but I'm pretty sure it was someone basically being like, read the book first of all,
I'm not.
but in the musical too, there are so many incredible parallels between Eponine and Javert, and they are just incredible parallel characters. And it's like, fuck, they are.
No, it's always Fontaine and Eponine who are parallel.
No,
Musically, they're parallel. And that's why at the end of the show, I'm getting really into my stories.
but storyline wise and themes
Storyline
wise,
wise, themes wise, but like musically,
Javert and Eponine are
musically,
parallels.
and then vibes wise, and then my
I feel
personal ranking of them wise, because if I had to rank the Les Mis characters, it would go Eponine,
yeah, no
Fontaine.
shit.
I don't actually know, I've not really thought about it. Last would be Marius Mercy. I fucking hate Marius. Go get fucked. I love Eponine. Do you want to tell the story about what you said to me
It was New Year's Eve.
before I liked Les Mis?
We were walking to a pub,
Mhm.
and I was talking about musicals as I am.
Yeah, because you'd just seen
And
Phantom.
yeah,
So you were
like a
talking
few
about the
days
Mega
before.
musical.
And I was like, unfortunately, I do like Phantom.
Mm.
Our friend was pissed at us.
Yeah.
Our
And
friend was over an hour late to meeting us.
yeah, we were in the right.
And so we were talking, we were having a conversation. She turned up.
Yeah.
We decided, and I admit this was me. She was in one place and came to meet us at another place over an hour later than we agreed.
Yeah.
And then we decided to move to a pub closer to where she just was, like down the road from where she just was. That was on us.
Yeah. But we were
But we
trying
were
to
having a
make
conversation.
but we were also trying to make conversation. We were like trying to talk to her about stuff that interests her, and then she was just giving us like one word answers. Like it was
We were
good, it was
bringing her
nice.
in. We were talking to her. She wasn't responding. So I was like, well, fuck it. Let me talk about musicals for a
Let
bit
me
because
talk about
they're on the
Phantom of the
mind.
Opera.
And then I ended up, and I was again pretty drunk because we'd just been at a pub and we were going to another one, and it was New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve 2022.
Yeah.
So like over a year ago. And we were walking down the street, and I turned, I'm talking about Les Mis for some reason.
Because
And I
we
talked to
were
Esme,
talking about the
and
Mega musical.
yeah, like, you were an Eponine bitch, weren't you?
No, you
And
go,
she
aren't
was.
you?
Because the thing is, there are people who
Yeah.
are Eponine bitches, and it's just
A vibe.
objectively the right position to take.
Yeah, 100%. I agree. Obviously.
Of like, it's a very common position as well, of being like, oh, Eponine is the best character, Eponine deserves better, yada yada.
She's just also like, not to pit two women against each other. I'm gonna include Marius in this because he sucks.
The two women in Marius.
The two women in Marius. She's just a more interesting character to me. Like even when I hated Les Mis, she was an more interesting character. Like she's gone from a life
Yeah,
of riches to living on the streets and having to scrounge for herself. And then she's in love with this guy who's in love with her stepsister. There's a weird relationship between the two of them. And then she dies on a barricade for a failed revolution in the arms of a man who she loves but hates but doesn't love her back. You know? Like that's more interesting than
I
Marius.
hate to say it, the account that I'm. Oh, here it is.
Ah.
Javert and Eponines are character foils again. Sorry, I had to scroll through this blog, really shipping Javert and Valjean. Like, really
Again,
shipping Javert and
like
Valjean.
it is Pride Month.
Eponine is, it's about all the missed potential of On My Own. Eponine is singing about the Seine. Do you say Seine or Seine? Because I
San.
said Seine the other day, and so I was like, what the fuck is the Seine? What's the Seine? Like, it's the fucking river Seine.
But I don't know any French, so I could be wrong.
About the lights that are misty in the river in a song that is meant to echo her book monologues about longing to drown herself. I mentioned before that one of the core parts of the Javert Eponine thing is that they trade deaths.
Yeah,
Like
that's true.
Eponine repeatedly talks about wanting to drown herself in the Seine, but is eventually shot at the barricades, while Javert plans to be shot at the barricades but eventually drowns himself in the Seine. In On My Own, Eponine is watching the lights in the river and singing despairingly and suicidally about a world she can never belong to. Her song ends, "Without me, his world will go on turning, a world that's full of happiness that I have never known."
Banger of a tune.
And,
Banger of
and
a
Javert's song ends, "I'll escape now from that world, from the world of Jean Valjean." They have a lot of posts about this. They're called Secret Meloblog, by the way. As Eponine dies of her bullet wound, she happily talks to Marius about how glad she is that he'll die too, so they can meet again in death. And when Javert is about to be executed, he laughs and happily jokes about how all the insurgents are going to be killed and how they'll meet again in death. "When we meet again presently," by Eponine, "and we shall meet again shortly," from Javert. Both of them are bizarrely calm about dying, as if everything is going according to plan, because it is. Eponine came to the barricade to die. Javert surrendered without putting up any resistance and patiently waited for his execution with a smile. And after Valjean refused to execute him, he killed himself. This all reminds me of the earlier scene where Eponine threatens to send her father to prison, even if he kills her for it. A scene where she sounds eerily similar to Inspector Dog Son of a Wolf Javert. "I'm not the daughter of a dog, since I'm the daughter of a wolf.
Oh,
Killed by
fucking
blows of
love
my
Attack
father's
on the
club."
Roof from it.
Eponine really is at the same crossroads Javert was at when he was a child. She really does sound like she could be a younger / more vulnerable / more emotional / more desperate version of Javert, who hasn't yet lost their ability to empathize with other people or their desire to have a normal life with normal relationships. Compared to Javert, Eponine is still extremely innocent. The cruelest thing she does is attempt to get Marius to die with her, but she's ultimately still just a traumatized child. Javert is like a version of Eponine who lost or deliberately destroyed their identity, their humanity, and their ability to care about other people. Eponine scares away her family by threatening to call in society and the law, realizing that she alone is powerless, but can use the law as a way to terrorize people into staying in line. She plans to get Marius branded a criminal and shot to death by the gendarmes at the barricade so they can be together in death. Both Eponine and Javert want to feel like their lives have meaning. They both have a specific plan for their beautiful, heroic, perfect death. But both of those plans fall through. Eponine planned to die at the barricades of Marius, but Marius doesn't die. Javert planned to be executed and die for his cause, but his executioner saves his life instead. Anyways, yeah. Eponine is like someone who could have gone down the same path as Javert, but isn't as far gone yet. And that adds another layer to the way they act at the barricades. It's very interesting.
I found once talking about how musically Fontaine and Eponine are their storylines are connected. It is from Genius, but I'm gonna read it. It's a lot less long. Fontaine and Eponine's storylines and musical motifs mirror each other. In Act 1, all of Fontaine's actions are done to benefit Cosette, from working in the factory to selling her hair, teeth, and body. Similarly, Eponine's actions are done to benefit Marius, including Marius and Cosette saving the lovers from her father's gag and delivering Marius's fated letter. Both characters often sing the same melody, Fontaine's Death and On My Own, and the melody is used as they sing together in the afterlife. It is always weird how Ghost Eponine shows up right at the end of the epilogue. Don't get me wrong, I'm crying, but can we please include her in Empty Chairs, Empty Tables?
Surely it takes her a while to get changed.
No, she's still in like her death rags.
Oh, that's true.
Um, and like when they have all of Marius's ghost friends appear, why isn't Eponine
But
there?
to be fair, Eponine was never a revolutionary.
I do, yeah, I get that, but just
She was never there for the cause.
yeah, she
Like,
was
not
just
to insult her.
no,
She
no,
was,
no,
she was
she
there
100%.
for Marius.
She was there for Marius. I mean, in reality, Eponine probably would have benefited from the revolution that they were aiming for. However, she just didn't care. Valjean, on the other hand, completes Fontaine and Eponine's life missions by saving both Cosette and Marius after the death of each woman. It is only fitting that since he acted as their guardian angel, then Eponine and Fontaine would be the angels to help him complete his life on Earth and move over to the next realm.
I
For
get
half
that
an hour.
comparison, but I think the thing is, when you're looking at what the themes of Les Mis are, which are a lot of like innocence, redemption. I love a good story about redemption.
Oh, Les Mis
Um,
is the classic redemption story.
I wouldn't say that. Again, as someone who's read the book, I wouldn't say that. You have read A Christmas Carol because we studied it together.
Oh, yeah, no. Yeah,
And
okay.
you're gonna say Les Mis is the classic redemption story.
Okay, I might have been a bit hyperbolic there.
Like innocence. I think innocence. I don't know if you're planning on reading out the thing you showed me about young Cosette being the image,
Oh,
or
yeah,
little
so
Cosette technically. But that's very innocent, which is a big theme of it.
oh yeah, do you want me
And
to
I think in that sense, Javert and Eponine are foils or parallels or whatever you want to call it.
Oh,
Foils is a better term.
100%. Because if we're famous, because I think the musical one of the reasons why I don't really like Cosette so much is because the musical doesn't really know what to do with her.
Yeah.
Because there is a light where she could be considered the Jean Valjean. And in that respect, yeah, it does make sense thinking about it now.
I think for me, the idea is Cosette is never meant to be a revolutionary or do a whole ton.
Yeah.
And again, take this with a grain of salt because Les Mis is by no means my favorite musical. I have not seen the actual musical in years. I've seen the film, and I know what people are going to say. And I read the book like 10 years ago.
Mm.
But for me, my interpretation for Cosette has been she is never an active participant in the revolution or any of these big changes that they are trying to make happen.
Yeah.
However, every single change they want to make and every single change they fail to make
Yeah.
would benefit her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
So
so the idea of using this innocent child as the main image of the show, and then that older child being this completely pure, very kind, like perfect woman.
I mean, when we're reintroduced to her in Paris, which whenever the second time I saw the musical, by the time when like Paris started, I almost felt like cheering because it was about to get really good. Basically, I think I should be allowed to treat the fully staged not concert. I don't want to see a concert version. The fully staged version of it is like some kind of rock concert. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to sing. I just want to be able to lose my shit. Like when Paris starts, Cosette in Paris, she is helping out the poor people. She's helping out the homeless. She's giving out stuff. She's doing her civil duty in a way.
Yeah. So like this Cosette is to me meant to be the general public of France. She is
Yeah.
both the upper class and the peasants. She has been in both positions. We
Yeah,
see her in both positions.
should I read out like why
And
she's
so
almost
for
like
me,
yeah.
though she never takes part in any of this fighting, she would benefit from what they are trying to do.
Yeah, 100%.
I think there is a tendency when we're looking at musicals, especially nowadays,
Mm.
for the need of a strong female character.
Ebony's not a strong female character. Not to compare the
Uh-huh.
two. Never, I wouldn't call Eponine or Cosette a strong female character.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying that it's what we want. And so a lot of the criticism people seem to have for Cosette, especially when comparing her to Eponine and in general, it's like, oh, she doesn't do anything. She's just a love interest. She's just there. First of all, I don't think that that's applicable to Cosette because she's never. It's not like not to bring it back to Christine in the musical. Her character is strict. She is a very like strong female like heroine in the book. Completely stripped in the musical.
Yeah.
That's not.
Cosette's character as a child faces poverty, starvation, and forced labor, but through education and compassion, sorry, is reprieved. The theme of many reformers of the age.
Yeah. She's meant to be like the
She's what every child could be.
She is what the revolution is fighting for. The June Rebellion.
Yeah.
It's what they're fighting for. Cosette.
Yeah.
In Maris's sense, literally, in everyone else's sense, the idea of what Cosette was able to do.
Yes, yeah.
And I think that, like, Cosette is a very important character in that sense.
Yes.
Through her themes.
Yeah.
And through just kind of being there. She also has some beautiful songs.
Oh, I do love In My Life, and A Heart Full of Love.
Yeah.
And I probably would feel a bit different about her if they had cut her song.
I think, like, when people are trying to say, like, oh, Eponine is a far more important character, Eponine is a very important character in an entirely different way because
Eponine's always existed within the context of Cosette.
Yeah. And Eponine is like does themes of jealousy and redemption, especially.
Yes, 100%.
Whereas Cosette is definitely more innocence.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm not making any sense when I'm just rambling.
No, I get what you're saying though, of like Cosette does represent innocence, and that leads us on quite nicely to the Eponine issue.
Which we called it that.
We did.
Also on that New Year's Eve, we started talking about it.
Yeah.
I think it's hard to talk about properly because one, we've not like done any study of it.
We've done some anecdotal.
And like purely brief observations.
Yeah, like we pulled up a list of names.
But so the issue we are talking about is really the Eponine issue. When they are casting Les Mis,
yes,
Les Mis overall somewhat diverse. Could be better.
Like
Not to the worst in the world.
Like in more recent years, Les Mis
Obviously.
has become a lot more diverse. Obviously, there's improvements that they can make. I'm never not gonna sit here and say that.
Yeah.
However, they've changed with the times.
Yeah. They're getting better.
Yeah.
Obviously not enough, but we'll get there. The issue is between Eponine and Cosette,
Yes.
if one of them is going to be cast as a non-white woman,
Yeah.
it is always going to be Eponine, or almost always going to be Eponine over Cosette.
Also, like, almost going back a bit, like bigger picture, if there's going to be a non-white woman in the cast, it's like named woman, it's going to be Eponine.
There are a lot of issues with this.
Yes.
And we were talking about it before, and we were just talking about them. A lot of people say, well, Eponine is the better role. Eponine has a bigger role than Cosette does. Eponine is more famous. If you look at the list of famous Eponines compared to famous Cosettes,
Yeah.
all the people like
Notable
think of as
people.
Eponine,
Yeah.
it is Eponine over Cosette,
Yeah.
which is all true.
Yeah.
However, purely in the storyline, it seems that they might be writing, or not writing, but putting non-white actresses specifically into a role. Which is that? Again, Cosette, innocence, purity, kind,
Light.
perfect woman who wears white a lot.
Runs on in her pretty ball gown, sings a pretty aria, gets the boy of her
aria,
dreams.
soprano, beautiful.
Yeah.
Eponine, again, redemption. Great theme.
Mm-hmm.
To be redeemed, you have to be bad.
Yeah, like she is covered in dirt. She is wearing rags. She is stealing.
She's stealing. She does, even from not a like law point, she's concealing letters from Marius.
Yeah.
In the book, she lures Marius to the barricade to die.
Yeah.
Even though it doesn't work, she attempts to do that.
Yeah.
She doesn't do that in the musical.
No.
I don't think.
No. Marius is already involved in the revolution before he meets Eponine.
No, he's involved in the book too. It's just gets him there specifically then.
Oh, okay.
So that they can die together.
No, it's never that's not a musical, no.
And then we were talking as well when you're looking also for some reason they're listed as
in
little Cosette, but young Eponine.
Both of our programs, like 10 years apart, different productions. They're both named weird. I don't know how else to say it.
Little Cosette, which is cute, and young Eponine, which is just what I assume they'd be, because it was like you have young Simba and young Nala in The Lion King.
Yeah.
I don't actually know what they are in Frozen. Are they young Elsa and Anna?
I could go check.
I just think because there's more ages, it's different.
Yeah.
But it's stuff like that. When there is a child version, it is young character name.
Yeah.
For some reason, it's little Cosette. She might be called that at some point, which might be why.
Maybe it's just weird. But the thing I was
going to looking at that,
yeah,
Cosette is this innocent young girl, whose mother dies.
Mm-hmm.
So she gets put with this random family who then treat her like shit.
Yeah.
She's forced to do all this stuff.
It's actually that her father leaves her, and so her mother can't look after her, and then her mother dies.
And then she's forced to go to this family who treat her like shit, who are like these scammers. Who are and are like evil.
Rich.
Like drunkards. Rich, drunkards, scammers.
And they spoil their daughter.
They spoil their kids, but they make her walk to the well to get water, and she sings her little song.
Yeah, at the end of the day, she's not white girl.
Two blonde white girls.
Yeah.
And then if you're doing that, then in comparison, Eponine is more likely to be a black girl.
Or even like
that's a weird storyline.
Eponine's just more likely to be non-white.
That's a weird storyline.
I've seen Les Mis twice in the past year, 2 different casts, like each time because I went right before the cast change, the first time, and both times very well done actually. The Eponine was played by a non-white woman.
Right, Eponine was Carrie Fletcher, so I can't talk about that.
No, you cannot.
But then as the story progresses, again, when we first meet Cosette, she is helping out the poor.
Mm-hmm.
And Eponine is one of the poor who needs to be helped.
But she's scamming people. Like, that's what she's doing.
Scamming people.
To Jean Valjean. Also, it's like, I don't feel like I'd have this criticism as much if Cosette was also cast as a non-white woman every so often. Like, there's been
Mm.
cases, but like not. It's not as common as Eponine's cast as a non-white woman, if that makes sense.
And it's again, I don't think it is a deliberate thing. Like, I don't think they were sat in like the casting room
See,
and they were like,
yeah,
we cannot have a non-white Cosette.
I don't think
It
my
has to be Eponine.
yeah, I don't think my like besties never said anything mean about either of them. Cameron McIntosh and Lawrence
Yeah.
Connor are sat around going, you know what we're gonna do.
But I think it's the thing. If you are auditioning all of these
Mm.
people and you're saying, you know what, these non-white actors fit
Mhm.
the role of Eponine so much better.
Yeah,
Because you cannot sit here and tell me that no non-white person has ever auditioned for Cosette.
100%.
Or sit here and tell me that, oh, you know, white people just don't audition for Eponine as much, they audition for Cosette over Eponine. Everyone wants to play fucking Eponine.
Yeah. It's also the thing of like, do non-white women not get the chance to run on stage in their pretty little ball gowns and sing out an aria and get the guy?
Yeah. And it's obviously not just a problem with
Les Mis.
Eponine and Les Mis. You will see it in so like what did we write down?
We had written down
Oh, Veronica
Veronica.
and Heather McNamara,
Yeah.
predominantly white cast.
Yeah. There's
Heather
been some
Duke,
examples, but yeah.
Heather Duke, non-white,
Yeah.
pretty much always.
Exclusively, yeah.
With especially with a show like Heather's,
Yeah.
you cannot sit there and tell me that no non-white person has ever auditioned for it.
Yep. Also, what we were talking about with going back to a mega musical Phantom.
We were saying Christine has been pretty diversely cast.
It took a while, but once it started, it became quite frequent. I think the same happened like around the same time that they really started casting Christine as quite diverse. They started casting Eponine as quite diverse.
I think, to be fair though, I want to say the first Black Christine
Mm.
was not until like the 2000s at least, probably 2010s,
Um,
which was like 20, 30 years after I opened.
yeah, I think they had Lea Salonga do some stuff for Les Mis in like the 90s and 2000s, but
Yeah.
it wasn't until the 2010s that one-off cases, but like not until the 2010s that it was pretty consistently non-white
Yeah.
Eponine.
But yeah, while Christine is somewhat diversely cast,
Yeah.
Meg,
Mm-hmm.
we saw
The
the
first
first
non-white
ever
Megs.
with
Yeah.
Courtney Stapleton, who I also saw in Les Mis apparently. It was
Love
great.
you, Courtney Stapleton.
Love you, Courtney Stapleton. I loved your Meg.
Her Meg was outstanding.
I am the number one Love Never Dies Meg defender. She did nothing wrong.
She free my gal from whatever
Free her.
whatever they probably took her to Rikers Island. Free my gal.
Yeah. I don't think they even charged her. She just ran away with her mother.
Wherever she is, free her.
But like the thing is, again, Meg is kind of a perfect character.
Yes.
Is very sweet. She's a dancer. She's very kind.
Yes.
The most active she is in the plot is one when she says, Vicomte de Chagny, I want to come and rescue Christine with you. And they say, no.
No, Meg,
you are
it's
a
too
child.
Yeah.
And then at the end, she goes down anyways and gets the mask. That is
Yeah.
it. That's her two biggest plot points. And
Yeah.
also singing with Christine.
Yeah.
Christine, if you're not understood by that,
Mhm.
she doesn't get with the guy you want her to.
No.
She's kind of a dick to him at points.
Yeah.
You know, all of that stuff. She's also like the Phantom thinks she's a whore.
Yeah.
No one thinks Meg's a whore.
Meg is holier than now in the same way Cosette is.
It's again, to be clear, it is not that I think or that we think anyone is sitting there being like, we cannot cast non-white people in this role.
Yeah.
It's a question of what biases you have to have. Because again, we probably also have these biases because until semi-recently, I wouldn't have thought twice about it.
See, I wasn't really thinking about Les Mis like that, but yeah.
Yeah.
No, same.
But what biases do you have to have to think that these non-white roles, especially non-white female roles, no, these roles, especially female roles, should go to non-white actors over other ones.
Yeah.
And what do those roles entail in the story? Like costume-wise, character-wise.
we're at the point in colorbuying in the use of the term colorbuying casting, and I'm not going to get into the debate around the use of that term because I'm not qualified. Where I think people are willing to engage in a bit more of a meaningful debate about what that means in terms of the story.
Yeah. Because I don't think there is anything wrong with
No.
casting Eponine as non-white.
Oh, I have loved both Eponines. I have seen the first one I saw, I believe her name's like Natasha Ung or something like that. I could be wrong. She's going into Hamilton as Eliza. I need to see that. Her burn will make me cry. That's why I've been like, we should go see Hamilton.
Oh my God.
I've also just pulled up, this is from Wikipedia, so it could be wrong, the descriptions of each character.
Yeah.
Because I remember giving them a quick glance and being like, that's interesting. So, for Cosette, the daughter of Fontaine, has grown up to become a young woman of culture and privilege after being adopted by Valjean. She falls in love with Marius. Eponine's is the daughter of the Thénardiers. Eponine becomes a ragged street waif who secretly loves Marius. Yeah, I know exactly what you're about to say.
Yeah. I think it's as well. I think Les Mis is just the best example of it because there are these two female roles
Yeah,
who are so clearly opposite,
yeah.
and one of them is more often cast as non-white.
And also, like, we have so many, because Les Mis has been running for almost 40 years now, we have so many casts and we have so we can really fully see a clear pattern. Or a
Yeah.
clearer pattern
And
than
it's
we
like,
normally can.
yeah. And I'm not going to sit here and say, like, this is the only show it happens in. Every other show is
Yeah.
perfect. Like, we did, what, a few episodes ago, we were talking about how shit some casting has been recently in terms of, like, diversity.
Oh, yeah. We were talking, yeah, we're not gonna get into it in the Les Mis
We
episode.
won't get into it again. I just think Les Mis is a good example of it
It
because
is.
it's, as much as I have struggled over this section to talk about Eponine, who is one of my favorite characters ever, I think it's pretty clear,
Mm-hmm.
like, why it is important to note the divide.
No, it is. Like, yeah.
But anyways, love Eponine, love Cosette,
Love
love Les Mis. It
Eponine,
is a
love
good show.
Cosette, hate Marius. Marius Pontmercy, when I find you. He's just annoying. I mean, he does sing a good song in Empty Chairs, Empty Tables, that is a banger of a
I
tune.
thought Eddie Redmayne was great.
He's actually half decent in it. Like, I don't mind Eddie Redmayne. I do you hear the
And
people
while we're on the topic,
do you hear the people sing? Right? I often find myself listening to like it's just even split between the film version and my preferred like
the film
stage
version's
recording
good.
version.
Yeah,
I also think Les Mis is the perfect example of a musical that deserves to be heard in a live album context.
yeah. I think overall, my thoughts on Les Mis
Mm.
are that it's, I don't want to use the word perfect because it's obviously not,
Like,
but Victor Hugo is a damn good writer.
yes.
And everyone who adapted it from book to stage
Hmm.
was very fucking good at their job.
Exactly. Yeah, yeah.
So it doesn't have the same flaws that any other adaptations might have.
Mm.
And also, again, with Victor Hugo, it's just a very good book in doing, like, we can joke around about, like, there is a shocking amount of descriptions of the Paris sewer system.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
there is.
But like a key scene
But
in Les Mis does take place in Paris sewers.
it's important.
It's so important.
The themes he clearly wants to lay out and that he wants to explore during the story are very clear. They are done well.
Yeah,
If you pick one of them, and even if you're watching the musical, they are adapted very well throughout.
yeah,
And you, like, if you pick, I want to focus on innocence in this musical, you will
yeah.
see a very clear cut, like, what they are trying to say about innocence.
I am.
I think as well, like, talking earlier about, like, do you hear the people sing this kind
Oh,
of revolutionary anthem?
yeah,
It's one of those ones where, well, like, I know we talked about Hades Town a lot as a very
yeah.
good show for that
As
kind
a
of stuff.
as like a protest
A good
musical.
political musical.
Yeah.
It is not as blunt as Do You Hear the People Sing are,
No.
or even like Red and Black,
Yeah, and one thing
which are
that
great songs. Love those songs.
one thing that I do appreciate about Les Mis is how nuanced it is with it. But I think with Les Mis, because it is going off of a revolution, we know so bluntly what they were about to almost not say their cause on a stage would be wrong, not to be
Yeah,
blunt about it.
there is a lot of nuance with what they are. Like I think that Just Stop Oil protest
Oh my gosh, yeah, I don't have that written down because I was like, once we start talking about like just stop world protests, I don't think we'll
Yeah.
stop. But yeah,
But I think it was almost a very good expose on it.
yeah, I found that deeply interesting, deeply fascinating. Talked about it for hours.
They are protesting very similar things.
Yeah,
But obviously, the difference is the people playing the characters of Les Mis do not necessarily agree with everything their characters are saying. You could
yeah.
have a conservative play, like, oh, what's his name?
Andros?
Yeah, or Grantaire.
Wanda, yeah.
Grantaire and Angelas.
Grand hair Andros.
Grantaire and Angelas.
Andros's name is never
Um,
said in the musical. I discovered that when I was talking about it with my mum because my mum saw Les Mis a couple months ago. She's like, "Who's that guy who died on the barricade?" And I was like, "You're gonna have to be more specific." And then she went, "Oh, he's the friend of Marius." And I went, "Andras, come on, like Andras, it's
I
his
am
name."
sure his name must be said.
And then I thought about it and I was like, I don't know when they actually explicitly say Andras, like more
They
than
do.
once.
You are gonna look at this later on AirPods, and you're gonna see me pull up the 2012 film recording. But that's how I'm gonna do it. Surely they say it in like Red and Black. They say Marius a lot in Red and Black.
Marius, because they're
Yeah.
like, Marius must be in love at last.
To be fair, they say everyone else's names. Well, Courfeyrac, do we have all the guns? Fairly Comfort, our time is running short. Grantaire, put the bottle down. Do we have all the guns we need?
I don't think they do.
Hold on. Hold on. Building the barricade is my next thought.
Another thing that I'm gonna say about Les
To
Mis,
the
I
barricade!
don't think they do. I'm gonna be so real with you.
I think they do.
Okay.
I refuse. He's played by Aaron Tveit. They don't not say his name.
Okay, I'm talking about the stage show.
He's played by Aaron Tveit.
I know he's too old.
I forgot Hadley Frick was in I just saw his name and I was like,
Hi Hadley, what are you doing here? I love that song. Another thing I'm gonna say about Les Mis,
they just don't
they
say
don't
his
say
name.
Andras' name.
Wait, I will say this though.
Mm.
Literally every single song he's in
Yeah.
just starts with him shouting.
He's a very angry little boy. What?
It's hilarious. It's just all of them start with him shouting.
Yeah. One thing I will say about the music of Les Mis and the guys who wrote it, they are very good at setting conversations
Yeah.
to music. It is so satisfying. Oh my God. It is like, it's so pleasing to the ear, the way that they can make conversations happen. And that's what really allows Les Mis to like thrive, especially when they're all singing over each other. And like, there's a reason why I love the Attack on the Rue de Pommet, or whatever the hell it is actually
Yeah.
in French, because it is just a prime example of that. When she's like, I'm gonna scream, I'm gonna shout, you better watch out. And it is just so incredibly satisfying. And it is a lost art form.
It's like it is a genuinely incredible musical.
And the reason why I love At the End of the Day so much, there's a lot of sing talking. Like, you genuinely, there are moments when I forget that they're singing, and I'm just so invested in the drama, and I'm just like, please just keep going. It was like when I saw Hadestown, but like kind of worse because it was Les Mis. I knew exactly what was going to happen at every single moment. Anything else I want to say on Les Mis? Slaps. Top 3 musicals easily. What are you
If
looking
anywhere is going to tell me if they say his name, it's going to be the fandom.wiki.
Yeah. Do you see what I mean by I don't think they do?
I'm not entirely sure if they do. Despite being one of the musical's most iconic characters, Angelus's name is never said in the original libretto of the musical. However, it is traditionally ad-libbed by Comfort at the beginning of Red and Black or ABC Cafe.
Oh, okay. That's
So
such
they
a
do say
technically.
it, just not in the actual script.
Yeah. Which is
That's what I'm
insane.
saying, because I'm like, I am sure I've heard them shout like,
Yeah. I was quite far back both times I saw Les Mis, so maybe I missed
Yeah.
it. But that's kind of weird.
That's crazy. It is just the kind of thing I expect to happen in them. It's like, yeah, you know what? They just won't say his name.
They like there's so many characters, and also that's another thing about Les Mis is like I know it's probably the beauty of the adaptation, but the way that they're able to like get across why it's important that we know every little detail about someone's life, so that when it comes back later, we're like, oh, I get this, I understand why. It's really impressive.
Yeah. Again, I think a lot of people will joke about the book's length.
Yeah.
a lot of details in
Yeah, and they're able to get the important parts across without it feeling bogged down.
that. And I think even with the musical, where a lot is cut,
Yeah.
you find out so much about these characters and you empathize with them so much, even through what little you might see of them. The
Yeah.
second they die,
Yeah.
you feel it so much more than if they were just the random ensemble
Yeah.
of Maris's friends.
hmm
I think it's also important stuff like Maris is not the leader of the rebellion.
No, no, no,
He
no.
is barely in it.
Yeah. He's
And
just
yet he
kind of
survives.
there because his friend Andras is really into it.
I think it's a very important look. Not important, but interesting. And
Yeah.
important. Look
Yeah.
at revolutions and rebellions.
Yeah, yeah. Like, there's a reason why it's the failed revolution, the musical about that caught on, instead of the one
Yeah.
about the actual revolution. Yeah.
I do just think it is a genuinely really good show, and for that reason it's hard to talk about. Because with every other show we've talked about,
Except maybe Hades
we
Town, but we were just on our bullshit.
but the thing with Hadestown was there was so much we could interpret from it.
Yeah.
The thing with Hades is one, everything has already been said.
100%. There's no new take time on this almost 40-year-old piece.
Two, it is just genuinely so good that it is hard to have an interpretation of because your interpretation is just what they want you to think.
Bang after bang after banger. Like, that's how I
Yeah.
describe Les Mis.
And then I think as well, just like we talked about like the Eponine issue and stuff
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
But that is not a Les Mis issue. It is an issue
No.
that we have talked about in multiple like we talked about it with Wicked.
Yes. Yeah. Les Mis is just a good tool to help further that point, if that makes
It's because
sense.
I think the biases we want to imply are the causes are so much clearer between Eponine and Cosette
Yeah.
and what kind of characters they are
Yeah.
that it's easy to talk about. But like that is the one issue that I could talk about in length with Les Mis, and
Yeah.
it's not even about Les Mis.
It's not about the text, it's more
It's
about the
about
culture
musical
that surrounds
theatre.
it. Yeah.
And so I just think, like, even with falsettos, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, well, we can talk about the fact that there is this weird fandom. The Les Mis fandom is weird,
Oh, yeah.
but it is a musical theatre fandom.
And they could also be weirder.
They could be. And I think they've just been around so long that I'm like, yeah, don't fucking insult the Les Mis fandom. Those are my brothers.
They have been in the trenches since the 80s.
We wouldn't have fucking Lambs.
Yes, without
the Les Mis
Honduras
and
Goose
and Granta.
Yes, without Honduras and Granta, we
and
would
they were
not have
fighting for them
Lambs.
on the front lines.
Exactly. And I have to say, I salute you, Harold.
Angelos and Granta, Valjean and Javert, Eponine and Cosette.
They're
brothers.
They could be considered as siblings. And so...
The thing with people being like, oh, they were siblings, is they weren't raised as siblings.
No, they were raised as like...
They were raised as borderline master and servant.
Yeah, weird dynamic, but still not
and
incest.
Then she left when she was like 5.
Yeah.
The Les Mis fandom is weird. I have a lot of respect for them. I've never existed in a world without them.
Exactly. And I don't want to exist in a world without them.
Newsies was just Les Mis too.
And
being real about it, Newsies was just Les Mis.
Let's be real here. Outsiders is Newsies is the next step.
Exactly.
Hot guys dancing.
Les Mis is the backbone of the musical theatre community, and we don't realise it.
And then all of a sudden I read a news article talking about how there were like Les Mis groupies, and I was like, oh, this is our history. This is our culture.
And that's why I defend the 2012 movie.
You and the Aaron Tveit girlies.
Without it, we wouldn't have gotten the incredible Dear Evan Hansen movie.
Without it, we would have gotten Aaron Tveit, Roxanne Octops in Moulin Rouge. And think of the fan culture around it.
I love Moulin Rouge.
We are number one Moulin Rouge lovers. We've never said a bad word about it. Yeah.
So listen, the success of Hamilton couldn't have come about without Les Mis.
Oh, I remember reading like almost a year ago now. That's crazy. When we were recording Hamilton, that I was like, this is Les Mis. Like, guys, this is Les Mis as a revolt. Yeah. Anyway,
I think that's the thing. I just have so much respect for Les Mis.
Yeah.
And like it as a show and it as a fandom. I'm just like, I'm not gonna say anything.
Yeah, if
I
I forgot,
love it too much.
it slaps. It slaps so hard. It slaps so hard.
It's a
Anyway,
great show.
um,
I love it.
I love it so much. Moving on, we're going to talk about stuff. So, Les Mis again becomes a massive phenomenon. Fan mail would be sent out like at the stage door in a like number that we never had before. Scalpers, people at the box office, like these are all scenes that we kind of know are indicators of big musical hits, but like we've not seen anything like this in ages.
Yeah.
Significant a number of spectators were visiting the show more than once. I love the fact that the New York Times feel like this is worthy of reporting on. This is just the run of the palace initially. The show is also demonstrating success in happier ways. It is expected to have recouped its costs and be in profit by mid-April. This was like a year after it came out. It already had 9 productions planned in different countries. So it would go to America and it would go to the Kennedy Center in Washington before going to New York. But before that, Cameron got to do something he loved to do in the like 80s and 90s. And that is fight with Actors Equity.
His favorite pastime.
His honestly, in the 80s and 90s, Cameron's favorite pastime was fighting with Actors Equity and threatening to pull his shows if he didn't get the cast members he wanted over.
Yeah.
This time, it was Cole Wilkinson.
Oh my God, worth it.
And Francis Ruffle. But he was really dead set on Cole. He was like, I will pull this production if you don't let me bring this man. And all I can say is it did set, like, Les Mis set many precedents. One of them being beefing with Actors Equity. Yeah, it would cost $4.5 million to put on. However, they would have $4 million in advance ticket sales, which is crazy. In this article, Claude Michel Stromberg and Alan Bobill would say they had no clue what they were going to do next, but it was going to be something epic, and then talk a lot about Puccini. And I was like, guys, it sounds like you're about to write some banger tunes and send it to a quite racist story.
Yeah.
Again, unfortunately, they can write banger fucking tunes. Drives me crazy. This would be when they would cut Cosette's song pre-Broadway. They'd be like, Cosette, you got this song, love. And Little People. It would open at the Broadway Theatre on the 12th of March 1987. So let's hear what the New York Times had to say about it, because they're always very sane and normal. So yeah, New York Times would say there were people who told me Les Mis was going to be wonderful and people who told me it was going to be terrible. In truth, all my reactions at least, it turns out to be a lie somewhere in the middle. If the lyrics are often more than droggle, the score is often somewhere between the musical equivalent of droggle. They just love that word in the 80s. There are compressions in Colm Wilkinson's rightly acclaimed Jean Valjean in a few supporting performances, and in the scenery lighting every now and then, and in a generally striking dramatic effect, but none of it added up to be Victor Hugo. How can it ever be done? The novel is vast and sprawling and dense with detail. Any dramatization, however skillful, is bound to sacrifice an enormous amount. And there are important episodes, the Waterloo chapters in particular, which the musical understandably skips. It is very hard to imagine being successfully transferred to the stage. Basically, the rest of the review just goes on to talk about Victor Hugo and praise him and not talk about the musical at all. It's hilarious. Love you, the New York Times.
This is good.
The power of the adaptation, guys. We can't do it all.
Like, obviously, the book is going to be better. The book had like 1,500 pages.
Yeah.
The musical had 2.5 hours.
And that's still long as shit for a musical. At the Tonys, it would be nominated for 12 awards, being Best Book, being Best Musical, Best Book, Best Original Score, Best Actor in Leading Role for Colm Wilkinson, and Terrence Mann, the guy from Tuck.
From Tuck!
From Tuck! The man in the yellow suit, of course, as you all know him as. Nothing else.
He's never been in anything else.
He did Les Mis, got nominated for the Tony, and then just like stopped doing anything, and then did Tuck.
He did like Beauty and the Beast, because I remember we talked about Beauty and the Beast. I was like, oh, from Tuck.
Yeah, you are always so confused that he's like an actual no,
he's from Tuck.
Really famous person.
I'll search him up right now, and it's just gonna say from Tuck Everlasting.
We all know him from
and
Tuck
that's
Everlasting.
all he's done.
We all know him from Tuck Everlasting, and that's it.
Yeah, I'm looking now, and it's just Tuck Everlasting.
Does his Wikipedia just say Tuck Everlasting?
That's all it says, actually.
Wow, that's crazy. I'm not gonna fact check you because I believe you. It would also be nominated for Best Featured Actor for Michael Maguire, Best Featured Actress for Frances Ruffle and Judy Kuhn, Best Direction, Best Scenic Design, Best Costume Design, and Best Lighting Design. It would win 8, being Best Musical, Best Book, Best Original Score, Best Actor in a Featured Role for Michael Maguire, who played Andras. Best Actress in a Featured Role for Frances Ruffle, Best Direction, and Best Lighting. It would run on Broadway until 2003. In that time, it would run at 2 theatres, the Broadway and then move to the Imperial. And at the time of its closure, it would be the second longest running show on Broadway after Cats. Phantom was still on its heels at that point. I forget that Cats was technically the longest running show in Broadway history for a long time.
Because it was a great show.
Amazing. In 1995, for the 10-year anniversary, they would do Les Mis, the Dreamcast in concert. God, I love the taglines Cameron comes up with for this shit. Do you think he has like a board where he just has them all of like all of the weird events he could do to promote his mega musicals? And every couple of years he goes by, yanks one off and goes, I'll do this.
Can you believe Les Mis was up against Starlight Express at the Tonys?
Yeah, I can actually. I wonder
Can you believe
why
Starlight Express won for best costume over Les Mis?
I can actually, yeah.
Crazy.
Starlight Express is crazy. Guys, Starlight Express is weird. I hate to break it to you.
Love It starts in 3 days.
Oh, I'm so excited. I really need them to do a Russia roller
I
story.
need to go so badly.
So do you want to hear who was in the dream cast for Les Mis?
I would love to.
The 10th anniversary of the Royal Albert Hall. Colm Wilkinson as Jean Valjean. Philip Quast as Javert. Michael Ball as Marius. Lea Salonga as Eponine. Judy Kuhn as Cosette. Ruthie Henshaw as Fantine. Michael Maguire as Andras. Alan Armstrong as Thénardier. Jenny Galloway as Madame Thénardier. Like I can picture clips of this in my mind, you know? Like, we've all seen clips of this. It is stacked. Yeah. The man can pull together an impressive roster to do a Les Mis concert at a big venue.
Unfortunately, he's incredible at what he does. Again,
can produce the shit out of a mega musical. So, in 2011, he would do it for the 25th anniversary.
Oh,
This time, it would be Alfie Boe as Jean Valjean, Nick Jonas as Marius, Norm Lewis as Javert.
Fucking love Norm Lewis.
Matt Lucas as Thénardier, Lea Salonga, as Fantine, Jenny Galloway as Madame Thénardier, Katie Hall as Cosette, Samantha Barks as Eponine. I don't have that written down for some reason. I don't know why. And our good friend Hadley Fraser as Grantaire.
Oh my god.
It would be live streamed across cinemas in UK, Ireland, and around the world. And the end credits would confirm the date of the Les Mis movie coming out.
The best movie.
Oh, to be in the cinema when that happened. Like, the screen turns black, you think it's over. No. Les Mis will be out the date it was released.
Les Amis will be back.
Or never went anywhere, really. This would be the first time that the production would be directed by Lawrence Connor and James Powell. Yeah, alongside the O2 anniversary, there'd be a tour that was also directed by them two, and then the tour would go back to the Barbican for the 25th anniversary. It would be the first time that 2 productions of the same musical were running in the same city. That's insane that he was able to pull that off.
Yeah, it's crazy.
That's crazy. So someone wasn't happy with Cameron's tendency to make his shows cheaper to run, and you could argue more shit. That man's name, Trevor Nunn. He got on mic at the Telegraph with him saying they were kept in the dark by producer Cameron McIntosh regarding the restaged version, which premiered in Cardiff. It's not a new production, it's a variant production that owes everything that's good about it to the original production. And everything that's not so good about it and is uncomfortable about it is the work of a group of assistants. Do you gather that there is some unhappiness here? Nunn claims that Camden and Napier would have accepted the challenge of finding a slightly different solution staging-wise. There is no point about beating around the bush. We are profoundly unhappy and feel profoundly betrayed. We don't understand. We seek a meeting. We are not given explanation of what What's so extraordinary that in the same year when the 25th anniversary of the original production is being celebrated, the same logo, the same strapline is being used for the new production, so we're all very confused. This is not vanity or hubris. It is something inferior that's being created when something superior could have been created. Cameron Mackintosh's full response to the longtime collaborator criticisms have been, oh, this is the statement, sorry, that is just more Trevor Nunn chatting shit. And I respect Trevor Nunn for what he's doing here. Like, he tried to stop him. He tried to stop the cheaper versions from coming in, the Lawrence Connor versions. I actually hate Lawrence Connor. He read out Andy's speech at the closing night of Bad Cinderella. Cameron Mackintosh would say, I'm saddened by Trevor's inaccurate and ungracious remarks. I'm very proud of the 1985 production that I invited Trevor to direct with John Candid. That Les Mis has become an enduring classic around the world as a testament to the work that Trevor and John did as adapters and directors. However, after 25 years, I created a new production that reflects the contemporary appeal of the musical today. It seemed right to engage with the new energies of a younger team. To do this, I believe that each new generation has to be able to put a stamp on great material. Over 18 months ago, at every subsequent stage, we informed Trevor and John Candid and John Napier our plans. This is wholly untrue that they were kept in any way in the dark. It is bewildering to me that Trevor Nunn, who has spent much of his career reimagining existing material, would be questioning the right of others to do so with Les Mis. I thought that was really interesting because this is kind of standard now for the mega musicals for there to be some like knockoff version. I don't want to say knockoff, but some
The cheaped version.
yeah, there's a cheaper version. Like this is the version that's now currently playing in the West End, and isn't there the cheaper version of Phantom is now running on the West
Yes.
End, right?
Yes. And I am angry about it.
So yeah, Lawrence Connor, go get fucked. Here's my enemy. It's time to talk about your favorite movie of all time.
Oh my god.
So let's talk about the casting for it, please.
I know what you want to talk about.
I really want to talk about this, please. I really want to talk about it. So they were cast without much stress. Hugh Jackman, Russell Crowe, and Anne Hathaway. From what I've read,
Great.
From what I've read, they still had to go
All
for
of them.
3.5 hour meetings with Tom Hooper, who directed it, and like have these deep, intense conversations with him about it. So still not like a breezy process. There'd be some discussion about who to cast Cosette and Eponine, because they're the roles that everyone's like, there's so many options. There's so many young starlets flitting about. Cast 2 of them. Enter Taylor Allison Swift. So in that original article where I got a lot of the background about like Claude Michel Schomburg and Alan Blobill, there was a quote about Taylor Swift, where he said, I was speaking to Taylor Swift one day, and she said, when I was 13, I was singing on my own before I started writing my own songs. What context were you talking to her in? I need more information. Please. Don't go drop that in. Anyway, so she would make it all the way to screen tests, but she was also considered for the role of Cosette for a while. And they were like, no, we're doing Amanda Seyfried.
Great choice.
I don't mind her in it.
She's great. I think Taylor Swift.
Yeah.
This is going to come off rude.
It's
like objectively not.
I'm thinking the same thing.
Probably. Taylor Swift is not a soprano.
I don't want Taylor Swift to play Eponine, but I need to see the tapes of her because for her screen test, she got dressed in the Eponine costume and did it. And I need to see that.
Taylor Swift probably, I think, would have been better suited to Cosette.
Yeah.
If she was going to play a role, it would have been Cosette.
Yeah. 100%.
However, her voice is far more suited to Eponine.
That's what she said in like an interview years later. She was like, I am the look of Cosette, but I have the voice of Eponine, and so I wasn't going to get either part, but they just kind of kept me along.
I do admire this, the Swifties as a whole's reluctance to support the acting career.
Oh, yeah, it's shit. She can't act.
Which is why Cosette might have been the best choice over Eponine. And I think if it weren't for Amanda Seyfried, who is incredible, she probably would have gotten Cosette purely for stunt casting.
Yeah.
Aaron Tveit wasn't pulling anyone in.
I do.
It wasn't already gonna go see the movie.
Yeah,
you know?
yeah. I do. So basically, we all know Samantha Barks eventually gets the role. I do appreciate the fact that they did pull in people from the musical theatre world to be in like the main roles, like some
Yeah.
main roles. I appreciate that consideration to it, especially Samantha Barks, who played Eponine before, like on the West End. But Cameron, please let me see the screen test, and I'll never be mean about you ever again. You want to shut me up? Let me see the screen test. To be a fly on the wall when those two are in a room together. The things I would do. Anyway, yeah, so Cosette would be played by Amanda Seyfried, Maris by Eddie Redmayne, Aaron Tveit as Andras, and Samantha Barks as Eponine. As we said, there's a lot, like Hadley Fraser's in the movie, like as one of the Barricade Boys, because the thing with Les Mis is you need a lot of people, especially when you're doing it on film, because on the stage they're very good at staging it so it looks like there's a lot more people than there actually are.
Yeah.
But like on
It's
a
one of those
film,
shows where when you see the bows at the end, you're just like, oh fuck, there were 10 people here.
yeah, it's like Newsies in that way. Like they're really good.
Yes. Newsies, I think, like Phantom was one. Even Hadestown.
Oh yeah,
Like I knew Hadestown was a small cast, but I was like, oh my god, there's a whole like city here
yeah,
in Hadestown. And then at the end, I was like, oh, there was 10 people on that stage at any given point.
yeah. There's a 5-person ensemble.
And then 5 like main roles.
Yeah. But because you need so many people, and they also filmed a lot of it in London. Like it was filmed in like Greenwich
Yeah.
and other places around the city. They just kind of pulled from like the massive pool of actors who knew the songs and could very easily just be taught to do something in like Les Mis quickly.
Yeah.
So there's like a long old list of just like people who've just done it over the years coming in and doing the movie. Like in the factory scene, Hannah Waddingham's there.
It's crazy. It is like such a good movie for just like cameos.
Very niche cameos. The movie is amazing.
Yeah.
So Gianna Beck, a Cosette in London, and Christine in Phantom, Bertie Cravel, Miss Trunchbull in London Matilda, Killian Donaghy, Raoul in Phantom of the Opera, Daniel Evans, Sunday in the Park with George, Farrah Fee, Les Mis, Hadley Fraser,
Yes.
Katie Houle, Lindsay Haley, Michael Gibson, Chris Key, Alexa Kay, pardon me. She is currently Elphaba.
I
Adrian Scarborough, Caroline Sheen. I think I saw on one of these lists that Jamie Moscato was in this fucking film as one of the random Barricade
no,
Boys.
he's fucking not. No,
I
he is not.
swear to God.
I'm gonna look at that up.
Colin Wilkinson was a bishop. Alice Fern was a factory woman. It's a smart move. Anyway, Frances Ruffles also be there as one of the ladies on the dock. The live singing thing. What's your opinion now?
I like it.
I like what they were trying to do. I think it really works in some places. Like, do you hear the people sing?
Yeah. I think it's just when you are adapting a musical to film, it's never gonna be good.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a big part of that is the dubbing.
Yeah.
Because you think, like, there's always a debate going on whether a recording or the live version is better. I'm like, oh, should this have a live album or should it just be a recorded album?
Yeah.
And I think when you are doing a musical, it makes complete sense to have a recorded album because you are doing a live performance every night. Whereas with the movie, it makes sense to just do it all live. Because if one of you fucks up a line or has a voice crack, you just film it again. It's obviously not going to be perfect,
Mm-hmm.
but it's not bad.
I get the impulse. One of the things I love about Les Mis is how sweeping it is. So I wonder if my issue is more with the instrumentals rather than the actual like liveness of it, if that makes sense. Although
In
one thing
what sense?
like I want the orchestra to be more sweeping, if that makes sense. Like louder, more prominent,
Yeah, but again, I think it's a
different medium.
film.
Yeah, I get that.
It's not a live theatre musical. It is a
Yeah.
film.
I mean, yeah, that's the reason why I listened to the musical version rather than this movie version. I will say, Do You the People Sing is a genuinely good one. There were concerns around like the health of the actors if they were live singing all day, every day, often in the cold, like whether or not that was safe. But I don't know too much about like the safeness of voices, so
It's again like it was a film set.
yeah.
Like they weren't just, and they were professional actors and often professional singers.
That's what I was also thinking. I was like, I think like Samantha Parks can kind of handle it because she also did it 8 times a week for months on end.
It's one of those things. If they had theatre training,
Yeah,
they were going to be able to say, hey, actually, if I keep singing this today, my voice is going to go and I
yeah,
won't be able to do anything for a week.
yeah.
And if they didn't, someone there would be able to say, hey, his voice is going to go
Yes,
and he won't be
exactly.
able to do anything for a week
Exactly.
if you make him keep singing this.
Yeah.
Like I think people for some reason seem to think that it was like a student film.
Yeah,
They
it's
just got
really
all these
weird.
random famous people in and just had like no support for any of them.
Mm-hmm.
Jeez, it
I
was
read
the lamest film.
I read an interview with Amanda's like in like this big interview thing with all of the cast members, and it was with like Amanda Seyfried basically saying, yeah, like there was a physiotherapist on set all the time. Like there was budget behind
Like
this.
there is not particularly dancing in Les
No,
Mis.
no.
There's a lot of staging, but there's not dancing.
Yeah.
And so they had a physiotherapist for moving around.
Yeah.
They probably had a choreographer for moving around
Yeah.
and like a dance captain for moving around. It kind of annoys me. There are multiple valid criticisms you can make of the film.
Mm-hmm.
I understand all of them. This weird thing of being like, there was no support on that set.
People act like the
Those
Les
actors could have
Mis set
died
was
every
some
day.
kind of like war zone. Like they act like they were actually on a barricade.
It was like they saw a damn good set and were like, how could they let these actors live like that? I was like, guys, they had like townhouses in central London
Yeah.
that they were going back to at the end of the day. They were fine.
I think Hugh Jackman has enough money to heat his house.
They weren't having Hugh Jackman sleep in the mud
Yeah.
to get like into character.
Hugh Jackman wasn't actually doing 15 years of physical labor or
They didn't
whatever
lock
it
him
is.
up for 15
Yeah.
years and get him out and be like, you're playing Valjean.
Yeah. And I mean, like
Like
I
they
was
didn't put Amanda Seyfried through poverty in her youth and then like killed her mother.
yeah.
And were like, you're Cosette now.
Guys, they didn't make Anne Hathaway birth a child, abandon her, and then become a prostitute.
Kill her and bring her back as a ghost.
Yeah,
This was a film set.
And also, like, I think there are points to be made about like people having to diet and all this other stuff, but it's not a Les Mis specific issue.
Yeah.
Like,
and like I'm not gonna say the film set was perfect. There was almost definitely issues there that are on every film set.
yeah.
Like
people do chalk like the Les Mis film set like it was a war zone.
it's the thing of it's people who are like actors have such an easy job and they get paid so much for it. And then we'll turn around and be like, guys, they made Anne Hathaway cut off her hair.
They made Aaron Tveit stand in the cold. How dare they?
They shot Aaron Tveit. They killed him. He deserves $1 million.
Guys, they killed Aaron. No.
They killed Aaron. And don't even get me started on what they did to Samantha Parks. I don't know. I think the attitude, learn to have some fun and whimsy. Just enjoy the 2012 film. It's fun.
I can't lie.
I watched it again last night before we recorded this. It's fun.
I don't know if I want my Les Mis to be fun though.
I understand that Les Mis is like a deep show.
Yeah.
And like you still get that in the movie.
Maybe
but Russell Crowe is singing. And you can enjoy that.
Well, is Russell Crowe camp to you?
Yes. Incredibly so.
Well, it is Pride Month.
I'm gonna hire Russell Crowe to sing at my wedding.
Oh my goodness.
I thought he was really good in Les Mis.
I need to go re-listen to it.
He added something to the role.
There
was a character there.
I need to go re-listen to Russell Crowe in it because I've not heard it properly since I was like 13.
Okay, but do it like right after we record so you forget by the next time so you can't make fun of me.
Well, I am collecting a list of people's voices I irrationally hate.
You're not gonna hate it.
That list is not being shared for my own personal safety. I'm scared of some of
The
yours.
thing with Russell Crowe in Les Mis is that so much of his singing is him talking.
It's talk. Okay, so I can do talk singing.
It's like, okay,
Shall I just listen to a bit now?
look down.
I've heard worse today.
Exactly.
I think that, yeah, I can name about 5 worst cases off the top of my head.
It's like, you know, Javert suicide. I think it's good. There's emotion there.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like I objectively, they could have got someone better, but it's not horrific as everyone claims it is. It's not the last 5 years. These are the people who cast Russell Crowe in a musical. Jesus Christ, I suck, I suck, I suck. It got 70% on Rotten Tomatoes, and according to now, it's great. It's a great film. 100%.
It is. It is a great film.
I have not watched it since I was about 13 and didn't like Les Mis, so I'm gonna have to go back to it.
You gotta rewatch it.
Gotta rewatch it then. That's the only solution. At the 2013 Oscars, they'd be nominated for 8 Oscars, including Best Picture, Best Supporting Actress for Anne Hathaway. They'd win Best Actress and Sound Mixing and Makeup. In 2014, they would bring it back to Broadway, returning to the Imperial Theatre. This would be the Lawrence Connor and James Power production with the Shrunken Orchestra. The New York Times would say about it, scenic tweaking aside and the orchestra shrugged to 20 from 27, Les Mis will offend none of the musical's fans with any directorial innovations and give them a chance to assess how new generations of performers meet the challenges of the score. The big winners, happily, are the actors playing the dominating roles of hero and villain. Mr. Kurumalu. Do you know this was his Broadway debut?
That's crazy.
But it kind of makes sense because he just spent a lot of time like in the UK doing work.
Yeah.
As the bread stealer, single father, long sufferer, and future saint, and Will Swenson as Javert, dodged pursuer of said hero, and the general scrounge to the noble causes and pure hearts. Here, as ever, it's the dramatic equivalent of double espresso, providing a necessary jolt of caffeine to keep us alert and all singing and all the suffering to come. It would be nominated for Best Actor in a Musical for Ramin Caramello, Best Revival, and Best Sound Design. They would not win any. In 2019, it would be announced that they would vacate the Queen's Theatre in July of 2019, and they'd close the venue for refurbishments. The musical, which would subsequently open at the Gielgud and run for 4 months whilst the Queen Theatre is closed. The plan would be an all-star concert including Michael Ball, Alfie Boe, Carrie Hope Thatcher, Matt Lucas, John Owen Jones, and Katie Sencom. Restorations, basically, they just installed the what was it that we were on about? The Schomburg Lounge. That was restored.
Oh, yeah, the Schomburg Lounge.
The Schomburg Lounge. That was restored.
You guys, did you know you can get the side seats?
70 quid.
Like the restricted view side seats that are called the Schomburg Lounge.
Yeah.
For like 70 quid.
Yeah.
To go and see Les Mis. We might have to get them, or we're getting a box.
We've not decided yet. Was it the Judi Dench box that we were talking about?
It's like just called like the Judy box.
The Judy box.
Shall I look again? They had some ridiculous names.
They have hilarious names. Basically, they were like, they did what every theatre I think should do at some point and go, we need to stop running a show here because it's borderline horrific.
Yeah.
And completely revamped it. And it looks amazing. In the strange post-COVID time, they would have an all-star stage concert with reduced capacity. It's currently running at the Sondheim Theatre. It was, the Queen's was also reading the Sondheim around that same time. Next year is going to be a big year for Les Mis. It's going to be running for 40 years here. And I'm sure Cameron has some plans up his evil little sleeve. Again, Cameron, if you want me to stop being mean to you, screen test now.
It was Judy's box and Maggie's box,
Yeah.
and then the Schonberg Lodge and the Beauville Lodge.
And
And just
it's
for reference, the boxes,
yeah,
Maggie and Judy's boxes,
yeah.
47.50
That's insane.
compared to the side seats,
Yeah.
which are 69.50 each. Or 89.50 each.
The prices that they're able to get away with charging people for Les Mis is insane, and it sells out
It's
every day. It's incredible. You have to admit.
the most expensive ticket you can get for Les Mis is £195
Yeah.
for the champagne package,
Yep.
which isn't even a box.
No,
It's just seats.
it's seats, and they're not even in the stall. Some of them, they're like,
There's definitely some in the dress circle. I don't think there's any in the grand circle, but
yeah,
I
dress
could not
circle.
tell you properly.
Um,
It's insane.
it's insane. I wouldn't be surprised if it went back to Broadway in the next 10 years.
I think that's the thing. It is constantly just on and off.
Yeah, I just don't think
It's
the Americans have the same sentimental feeling towards it, and I also think the profit margins are higher out on Broadway, and so it costs more to run your show.
yeah. I think any production you tried to put on Broadway costs so much more that it would have to run for a while. And there's nowhere there right. Like I can definitely see it going back to Broadway. I can't see it going back to Broadway in the next 5 years.
I could see when it's 50 years of Les Mis, Cameron being like, right, we're going back Broadway.
Yeah. I think the thing is, there are so many shows or so many theatres on Broadway that are just kind of booked up.
Yeah, like no one's getting into the Richard Rodgers anytime soon, which is where Hamilton's playing.
Yeah. Or even the ones that have a pretty quick rotation of shows. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Is Les Mis can't go in there for a year.
Yeah.
It has to go in there for like 5 years. And there's just no theatre that can accommodate that right now.
They
So
can't
that's why I think it will take like 5 years.
Yeah, no, I get exactly what you mean. That's the thing with Les Mis, is that over here it's just been running for ages and ages and ages, so like it will probably it'll have to close at some point, but like it's not closing anytime soon. However, with the US, I think, and Broadway specifically, it has to pick a point where it wants to come back and almost justify itself. Anyway, next week.
I know what we're doing next week.
You don't like what we're doing next week.
I don't.
I don't particularly know why, to be honest with you.
I'm excited to talk about it next week.
Okay. All will be revealed. We are doing the prom.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't
I don't like it, okay?
I don't know why, to be honest.
Esme was like, oh, do you not like it because of the film with James Corden? I was like, when have I ever implied I don't like James Corden? I
It's
actively
to the
like
contrary.
James Corden.
You like James Corden and want him to be in more movie musicals.
And this is okay, here's the thing. The thing with the Les Mis movie is I do just genuinely like the movie. Like I'm not trying to stir controversy.
Yeah.
I am doing that when I say I like James Charles. That too. I don't like James Charles.
You could
James Corden.
Yeah.
I don't like him. I do think he's a dick.
Yeah.
And I don't like. I did really want him cast in the Wicked movie because it would have been hilarious.
It would have been hilarious.
I'm
Same.
so happy he's not.
Yeah.
But him in the movie is not the reason I don't like prom. I just don't like it.
Interesting. Well, all will be revealed next week when we talk about it. I don't think it. Yeah. Because I haven't really thought about the prom in ages, and then I've been thinking about it a little bit this week, and I'm like, yeah.
I'm excited to talk about it. I'm excited to talk about pride stuff again.
Yeah.
And not the little gay boys on the barricade.
Les Mis. Yeah, so follow us on all social medias. We're occasionally funny over that. I've been getting back into posting TikToks finally, and finally started posting back on Instagram again, because there was a couple of weeks where there was just like nothing.
I've never posted on that fucking Twitter, and I plan to keep it that way. If I have a funny thought, I'll post it there.
You post when you're funny though, and so it's good.
I post when I'm like drunk, and I'm like, I have to tweet about this podcast. I
posted when we were at Anais Mitchell.
What did I tweet when we were at Anais Mitchell?
Anais Mitchell confirmed we were right.
Oh, because she did.
She did. She confirmed we were right, guys. If you made it to the end, you can find out that it was so bad because she was just stood there talking, and I was like, it's great to hear it from you in person, but I do know all of this.
Like, I have already said this, actually.
Not only
I
like
basically tweet when we go and see something.
yeah, you do. It's kind of funny. I liked
Just,
your
you
tweet
know,
at Starkid. That was hilarious.
that one was good.
Anyway, also we could talk about 2019 Tony season, which is one that I have many memories of and wildly different
Yeah.
opinions now.
That's crazy. We're going to talk about the 2019 Tony season, and then we're going to watch the Tonys.
Oh my god, yeah, it's Tony's in 2 weeks. I kind of can't be asked.
Actually, we're going to talk about the 2019 Tony season.
Yeah.
We're going to watch the Tonys, and then we're going to go to the Eras tour.
Anyway, let's say goodbye and then we can discuss
Yeah.
about what jokes we can make with shows. Right. See you next week for the prom. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Nell's buzzing.
I'm fuming.
All right, bye-bye. Well, we get to talk about
Bye.
Beetlejuice and Hades Town, though, because we're talking about 2019.
Yeah, but also the prom.
All right, bye-bye.